Hey, tonight we explore the forgotten world of Song Dynasty China, where artisans shaped more than mere objects. They crafted vessels for dreams. As the evening mist settles around you, imagine resting your head on cool ceramic, adorned with intricate blue patterns that whisper stories of ancient wisdom. The weight of 1,000 years of craftsmanship cradles your thoughts. Your fingers trace delicate brushstrokes of cobalt, each one applied by hands long since returned to dust. These pillows were not merely places to rest. They were gateways to other realms, portals to enlightenment. Through them, you'll walk forgotten pathways of silk and jade, where emperors dreamed and poets found illumination against porcelain shores. If you're enjoying this peaceful moment, please like, share, and subscribe. What time is it where you are? Which city are you watching from tonight? The afternoon sun filters through the latticed window of your chamber, casting honeycomb patterns across the wooden floor. You are a scholar in Kaifeng, the magnificent capital of the Northern Song Dynasty. The year is 1107, and Emperor Huizong, a devoted patron of the arts, sits upon the throne. Your quarters are modest but refined. Bamboo bookshelves lined with carefully rolled scrolls, a simple writing desk of polished elm, and a sleeping platform covered with a reed mat in the corner. In your hands rests your most treasured possession, a ceramic pillow from the kilns of Chizhou. Its surface is cool against your palms, the glaze smooth as still water. The pillow is shaped like a reclining tiger, the creature's face molded with such skill that in certain light you could swear it breathes. The white porcelain body is decorated with cobalt brushstrokes depicting scenes from the classic of mountains and seas. Mythical beasts and legendary landscapes flow across the surface like a dream caught in clay. You set the pillow down on your sleeping mat and run your fingers along its contours. Unlike the soft cushions used in Western lands, this ceramic headrest has served generations of your family. The hardness is a virtue, not a flaw. It keeps the head cool in summer heat and, as physicians explain, allows qi energy to flow properly through the body during sleep. More importantly, it protects your elaborate hairstyle, the top knot that marks you as a man of learning. The afternoon grows late. You have spent hours practicing calligraphy, copying passages from the Analects of Confucius. Your brush has danced across paper, leaving trails of characters born from ancient wisdom. Your shoulders ache pleasantly from the focused work. Outside your window, the sounds of the city begin to soften. The calls of merchants giving way to the occasional footsteps of evening travelers, and the distant gongs from temples announcing the approaching dusk. You prepare a small pot of tea, your movements deliberate and practiced. The water had been drawn earlier from the well in the communal courtyard, and now it simmers over a small charcoal brazier. The familiar ritual soothes your mind. You select leaves from a ceramic canister, tender, green buds harvested from misty mountain slopes. As you pour the steaming water, the leaves unfurl like tiny awakening creatures, releasing their subtle fragrance into the air. Sipping the tea, you contemplate the ceramic pillow waiting on your bed. Its maker was a master artisan named Wei Ren, whose workshop has created prized pillows for scholarly homes throughout the empire. The previous year, you had visited his workshop in the pottery district, watching as apprentices wedged clay and shaped the basic forms while Wei Ren himself applied the intricate decoration with practiced brushstrokes. You had commissioned this piece, requesting the tiger form and specific scenes from classic literature. The pillow had cost you nearly a month's earnings from your position as a minor government clerk, but the expense was justified. A proper pillow not only supports restful sleep, but influences dreams themselves. Physicians and scholars alike know that the head contains the most refined essence of the body's ki, and what touches it during sleep affects the quality of one's dreams and thoughts. The ceramic tiger not only keeps you cool, but promises strength, courage, and protection from evil spirits that prowl the landscape of slumber. As darkness descends, you light a single oil lamp. The flame casts wavering shadows across your chamber. Walls. You change into your nightclothes, simple, loose-fitting garments of unbleached hemp cloth, worn soft from many washings. Before retiring, you glance at your collection of books. On impulse, you select a slim volume of Tang Dynasty poetry, the works of Li Bai, the immortal poet whose verses about moonlight and wine have captivated generations. You settle onto your sleeping mat, adjusting your porcelain pillow just so. The ceramic feels cool against your neck and ear as you position yourself on your side. From this vantage, the lamp's glow illuminates the pages of poetry. Your eyes trace the familiar characters, as Li Bai describes drinking alone beneath the moon, inviting his shadow to join him in dance. The imagery soothes your mind, drawing you away from the day's mundane concerns toward more profound contemplations. Your eyelids grow heavy. You extinguish the lamp with a gentle breath, plunging the room into darkness, relieved only by moonlight filtering through the window paper. The ceramic pillow cradles your head firmly, its hard surface no longer noticeable after years of use. What was once strange has become comfort through habit and understanding. As you drift towards sleep, your thoughts turn to the artisan who crafted your pillow. Wei Ren had told you how each ceramic piece speaks to its maker during creation. The clay responds to the potter's hands, sometimes resisting, sometimes yielding unexpected beauty. Your pillow had emerged from the kiln, with a subtle blue tint to its white glaze, an auspicious sign, Wei Ren had declared. This pillow will bring dreams of water and mountains, he had prophesied. The landscapes where immortals dwell. You feel yourself sinking deeper into the threshold between wakefulness and dreams. The hard ceramic beneath your head seems to soften, or perhaps it is your perception that changes. The tiger design no longer feels like an object separate from you, but an extension of your consciousness. The painted landscapes on its surface begin to expand in your mind's eye, unfurling like a scroll being opened by invisible hands. In that liminal space, you become aware of the generations who have dreamed before you. Your father used this same pillow in his final years, and before him, your grandfather. Their dreams have somehow become part of the object, their nighttime journeys embedded in the very material. Ceramic holds memory in a way that softer materials cannot. It is permanent, unchanging, a vessel for experiences across time. Your breathing slows. The sounds of the city have faded to nothing, replaced by the subtle internal rhythms of your body. Heartbeat, the flow of breath, the mysterious currents of qi that traditional Chinese medicine maps with such precision. The pillow presses against the acupoint behind your ear that connects to your liver meridian, stimulating dreams of forests and new growth. Sleep claims you fully now, and your dreams begin. As Wei Ren predicted, you find yourself walking beside a mountain stream. The water runs clear over smooth stones, making music more perfect than any court orchestra could produce. Mist clings to distant peaks, transforming the landscape into something from a painted scroll. Yet unlike a painting, you feel the cool moisture on your skin, smell the pine resin from nearby trees, hear the occasional call of unseen birds. In your dream, you encounter a tiger, not fearsome, but serene, with eyes that reflect wisdom beyond mortal understanding. It leads you up a narrow path toward a pavilion perched impossibly on a steep cliff face. Inside the pavilion, you find a table set with writing implements, brush, inkstone, and blank scrolls of the finest paper. You understand without being told that here, in this dream space, you are meant to write something of profound importance. As you lift the brush, knowledge flows through you. Not your knowledge, but something older, something that seems to rise from the ceramic pillow itself, transmitted through centuries of dreaming. You begin to write characters that speak of balance between opposing forces, of harmony between humanity and nature, of the proper way to live virtuously in a complex world. The words are not yours, and yet they express your deepest beliefs with clarity you could never achieve in waking life. Morning arrives with the first calls of street vendors and the distant crowing of roosters. You open your eyes, your neck stiff, but not uncomfortable from the ceramic surface. For a moment, the dream remains vivid. The mountain stream, the tiger guide, the cliffside pavilion. Then it begins to fade, as dreams always do, leaving behind only fragments and impressions. You sit up on your sleeping mat and reach for your pillow. In the soft dawn light, you examine its glazed surface, tracing the painted landscapes with renewed appreciation. Did the artisan know what dreams his creation would inspire? Did he intentionally channel such visions through his craft? Or is it simply that the materials themselves, the clay taken from earth, transformed by fire, decorated with minerals drawn from mountains, carry echoes of their origins into our sleeping minds? You rise and prepare for the day ahead. As a government clerk, you have documents to copy, records to maintain, small but necessary contributions to the vast bureaucracy that sustains the Song dynasty. You wash your face in a basin of cold water, the shock fully dispelling the last vestiges of sleep. Your morning rituals are precise and efficient, dressing in your official robes, arranging your hair in the proper style, eating a simple breakfast of rice porridge with pickled vegetables. Before leaving your quarters, you place the ceramic pillow carefully in its lacquered box. Unlike ordinary bedding, a porcelain pillow is displayed during the day, a mark of cultural refinement and proper understanding of health principles. Visitors who enter your room will note its quality and design, forming judgments about your taste and status accordingly. As you step out into the bustling streets of Kaifeng, your mind remains partially connected to the dream world accessed through your ceramic headrest. Throughout the day, as you perform your duties at the government office, fragments of dream inspiration surface in your thoughts. When composing official correspondence, you find yourself selecting characters with unusual precision, as if the dream writing continues to guide your brush. That evening, you visit a local tea house where scholars gather to discuss philosophy and exchange poetry. The conversation turns to dreams and their significance. An elderly physician speaks about the connection between sleeping positions, pillow materials, and the quality of dreams. Bamboo for cool refreshment, ceramic for profound visions, wood for practical insights, he explains to the younger scholars. When asked about your own preferences, you describe your tiger-shaped Qizhou pillow. The gathering nods appreciatively. They understand its value without needing to hear its price. One young poet requests to visit your home to see this fine example of ceramic craft. Such requests are common. Pillow appreciation is a recognized aspect of cultured society, like admiring calligraphy or discussing the merits of different ink stones. The tiger design is particularly auspicious, comments a scholar of I Ching. It guards the dreamer against malevolent spirits while channeling strength into the body and mind. Did the artisan include any inscriptions on the reverse? You recall the characters etched into the underside of your pillow. May dreams bring wisdom, wisdom bring peace. A simple sentiment, but one that resonates with everyone present. The conversation drifts to other topics, recent imperial edicts, the quality of this season's tea harvest, debates about interpretations of classic texts. Returning home by lantern light, you find yourself eager for sleep in a way that transcends mere physical tiredness. The ceramic pillow promises another journey, another opportunity to access wisdom through dreams. This understanding of sleep as not merely rest but an active state of potential enlightenment distinguishes your world from others. Where some cultures view sleep as a necessary emptiness, your society recognizes it as a different kind of fullness. That night, and many nights that follow, you continue to explore the dreamscapes facilitated by your ceramic companion. Sometimes you encounter historical figures, Confucius himself offering cryptic guidance, or the Yellow Emperor revealing secrets of longevity. Other nights bring symbolic landscapes, gardens where each flower represents a virtue to be cultivated, mountains whose climbing paths mirror your career advancement in the imperial bureaucracy. Years pass. The ceramic pillow remains unchanged while you age. Your hair grows streaked with silver. Fine lines appear around your eyes. You advance in your government position, earning enough to purchase a larger home with a garden courtyard. Your collection of books expands, as does your reputation as a man of learning and taste. You acquire other pillows, a rectangular one carved from fragrant cedar for summer use, a simple cylindrical bolster stuffed with dried mugwort for its medicinal properties. Yet your Chizhou ceramic tiger remains your favorite, the centerpiece of your collection, the most reliable portal to meaningful dreams. One autumn evening, as you prepare for sleep, you notice a hairline crack developing along one edge of the ceramic pillow. The imperfection troubles you, not merely for aesthetic reasons, but for what it might mean for your dream experiences. Ceramic pillows are known to last for generations when properly cared for. What has caused this premature aging of your treasured possession? The next day, you carefully wrap the pillow in soft cloth and take it to the pottery district. Wei Ren's workshop still operates, though the master himself is now elderly, his hands too unsteady for the finest work. His son now leads the daily operations, having inherited his father's skill and artistic sensibility. The younger Wei examines your pillow with reverent hands. "My father made this," he says with certainty, recognizing the distinctive brushwork. A fine example of his tiger series, he traces the crack with a practiced finger. This can be repaired with lacquer mixed with powdered ceramic. The repair line will be visible, but stable. You hesitate, uncertain whether a repaired pillow will maintain its dream-inducing properties. Sensing your concern, the old master Wei Ren emerges from the back room. Though stooped with age, his eyes remain sharp. He recognizes you and the pillow immediately, though it has been decades since your purchase. "This crack is not a flaw, but an evolution," the old potter says. His voice raspy but confident. "The pillow has absorbed your dreams for many years. Now it begins to create space for new ones." He takes the pillow in his gnarled hands, turning it to catch the light. See how the glaze has subtly changed color where your head has rested. The pillow is responding to you, as a good instrument responds to a musician's touch. His explanation brings you comfort. You agree to the repair, leaving the precious object in the capable hands of the Wei family. For the next 3 nights, You sleep on your cedar pillow, but your dreams are shallow and forgettable, lacking the depth and significance you've grown accustomed to. When you return to collect your repaired ceramic pillow, Old Master Weiren has added something unexpected. A new design painted alongside the repair, integrating the crack into the landscape scene. What was a flaw has become a silver mountain stream, catching light differently from the original glaze. The pillow has matured, Weiren tells you. As we age, we gain stories written on our bodies. Why should our treasured possessions be different? He refuses additional payment for this artistic enhancement, saying only, "Honor me by recording the dreams it brings." That night, your dreams take on unprecedented clarity. You find yourself walking along the very stream that Weiren painted, over the repaired crack. The water speaks to you in the voice of your ancestors, revealing connections between past and present you had never before recognized. You understand suddenly that the ceramic pillow is more than a craft object. It is a technology for accessing collective memory, as sophisticated in its way as the water-powered astronomical clock in the Imperial Palace. In the years that follow, you begin documenting your pillow dreams in a bound journal. The practice is not common, but not unprecedented either. Several famous dream journals exist in the Imperial archives. Your records become increasingly systematic, noting connections between the phases of the moon, seasonal changes, and the content of your dreams. You discover patterns. Dreams of water predominate in winter, dreams of mountains in summer, a perfect balance that reflects traditional cosmology. As your reputation grows, younger scholars occasionally visit to discuss your dream research. Some are skeptical, adhering to more rationalist interpretations from the school of Master Zhu Xi. Others are fascinated, particularly those with medical interests or Buddhist inclinations. You show them your ceramic pillow collection, which has grown to include examples from different kilns, Ding, Ru, Jun, and Yaozhou, each with distinct properties and dream influences. In your 63rd year, during a period of political unrest, as barbarian tribes pressure the northern borders, you experience a dream of unusual power. Sleeping on your original tiger pillow, now bearing multiple repaired cracks, each artfully integrated into its landscape decoration, you dream of a vast library where all human knowledge is stored. In this dream space, you can access any scroll, any text, any wisdom from any age. You spend what feels like years in this dream library, reading texts that have been lost to time, conversing with scholars long dead. Upon waking, you retain only fragments, a mathematical formula here, a philosophical insight there, but the experience leaves you changed. You begin to view your ceramic pillow not merely as an object of personal significance, but as a cultural technology that deserves preservation and study. In your 70th year, knowing your time grows limited, you compose a treatise titled On Ceramic Pillows and Dream Cultivation. The text describes different pillow types, their historical development, proper usage for health benefits, and their role in accessing different categories of dreams. You include detailed illustrations, commissioning an artist to depict various pillow designs alongside diagrams of how they should be positioned for optimal effect. Your treatise gains modest attention in scholarly circles. Some dismiss it as the eccentric work of an aging mind, but others recognize the value of documenting this aspect of Song Dynasty material culture. A copy is placed in the Imperial Library, ensuring that knowledge of ceramic pillow technology will persist beyond your lifetime. As your health begins to fail, you spend more time in bed, your faithful tiger pillow supporting your head through days of rest and nights of increasingly vivid dreams. The boundary between waking and dreaming grows permeable. Sometimes you are uncertain which state you occupy, particularly when visitors come and conversations seem to drift into realms too perfect, too idealized to be truly present. In your final days, you request that your tiger pillow be buried with you, a modest deviation from standard practice, but not unheard of for treasured possessions. Your son agrees, understanding the deep connection that has formed between you and this object over decades of nightly intimacy. On your last night, as you lay your head upon the cool ceramic surface, the tiger seems to move beneath your touch, no longer just painted decoration, but a living companion ready to guide you on your final journey. Your dreams that night are of mountain paths leading ever upward, into mist-shrouded peaks where sages dwell in immortality. When morning comes, your family finds your body still and peaceful, a slight smile upon your lips, your head cradled by the ceramic tiger that has held your dreams for over 50 years. They prepare your body according to tradition, placing the pillow beneath your head in the coffin, ensuring that your journey into the afterlife will be accompanied by dreams of wisdom and beauty. 800 years later, in a museum far from Kaifeng, a ceramic pillow is displayed in a glass case. The exhibition label identifies it as Tiger Form Pillow, Northern Song Dynasty, Chizhou Ware, 12th century CE. Visitors pass by, some pausing briefly to admire its craftsmanship before moving on to more spectacular artifacts. Few recognize what this object truly represents, not merely a substitution for a soft pillow, not simply an aesthetic choice or cultural curiosity, but a sophisticated dream technology developed through centuries of refinement. The accumulated dreams it once facilitated remain invisible to modern eyes, the intimate connection between object and dreamer lost to time. Yet occasionally, a visitor lingers longer before the display case. Something about the tiger's expression, or the flowing landscape across its surface, resonates beyond rational appreciation. For just a moment, they feel a connection across centuries, as if the dreams contained within the ceramic are reaching out, seeking a new mind to inhabit, a new imagination to influence. In these brief moments of connection, the true power of the ceramic pillow is momentarily restored. The soft power of this ancient technology, its ability to shape consciousness, guide dreams, and preserve wisdom, transcends its physical form. Though separated by glass and centuries from its original purpose, the pillow continues its subtle work, inviting modern minds to dream beyond the limitations of their own time, connecting human consciousness across the vast expanse of history. The moon rises higher in the sky as another tale unfolds beneath its gentle light. As shadows lengthen across ancient courtyard stones, time itself seems to slow its pace, inviting you to journey once more through the mists of memory. Your footsteps echo against polished stone floors as you move through the vast imperial palace. Complex. Lanterns cast moving shadows across intricately carved columns, their light reflecting in small pools of water strategically placed to balance feng shui energies. The year is 120 BCE, and you are a trusted physician in the court of Emperor Wu of Han, known to history as one of China's greatest rulers. The night air carries the scent of osmanthus blossoms from the imperial gardens, mingling with sandalwood incense burning in distant chambers. Tonight, you carry a burden both literal and metaphorical, a jade pillow newly completed by the imperial craftsman rests in your hands. Its weight surprises those who first hold it. Solid nephrite jade, cool to the touch, carved with such precision that it seems to capture light within its translucent green depths. This is no ordinary jade object, already remarkable as that would be. This pillow represents the culmination of 2 years of research, design, and craftsmanship, created for the emperor himself, whose troubled sleep has become a matter of state concern. The pillow's shape follows traditional designs, a rectangular base with a gentle concave curve to cradle the neck. Yet within this simple form lies extraordinary complexity. The jade has been selected from the finest specimens brought from distant Khotan, carried along the emerging Silk Road at tremendous expense. Its color, a deep celadon with subtle white inclusions resembling mountain mist, was specifically chosen for its resonance with water elements to calm the emperor's excessive fire energies. More remarkable still is what cannot be seen with ordinary eyes. Within the jade, master carvers have created 13 internal channels, each less than a hair's width, following precisely the meridian lines described in the medical classics. Only jade of the highest quality could withstand such delicate internal carving without shattering. These channels are designed to direct key energy to specific acupuncture points along the emperor's neck and head, addressing the imbalances that your careful diagnosis has identified as the source of his insomnia and disturbing dreams. Court attendants bow as you pass, their eyes lowered in deference to your position and to the imperial treasure you carry. Though you hold the humble title of pillow physician, your actual authority extends far beyond such a specialized designation suggests. You have studied the classics of Chinese medicine under renowned masters, mastered acupuncture needle techniques that can regulate the emotions of even the most volatile patients, and developed particular expertise in the relationship between sleep, dreams, and health that few others possess. The emperor's private chambers lie at the heart of the palace, complex, separated from the noise and activity of court life by a series of courtyards and antechambers. As you approach the final courtyard, you pause to compose yourself. The responsibility weighs heavily, heavier than the jade in your hands. Emperor Wu has ruled for nearly 4 decades, expanding Han territory, establishing Confucianism as state doctrine, and strengthening China against northern nomadic threats. Yet recent years have brought increasing irritability, paranoia, and a series of disturbing dreams that leave him exhausted rather than restored. Some at court whisper that the emperor's dreams are portents, supernatural warnings of dynastic decline. Others suggest more mundane causes, the stress of managing an empire, grief over the death of his favored consort Lady Li, or simply the natural decline of aging. As his physician, you have considered all possibilities, concluding that physical imbalances lie at the root of his troubles, though these may indeed be exacerbated by spiritual and emotional factors. The palace guards recognize you and step aside without challenge. You enter the antechamber where the emperor's personal attendants wait. The chief eunuch Li Feng approaches with a deferential bow. "The Son of Heaven awaits you," he says softly. His mood is contemplative tonight, neither particularly favorable nor unfavorable. Proceed with appropriate caution. You nod your understanding. Emperor Wu's moods have become increasingly unpredictable in recent years. Sometimes he greets his physicians with philosophical questions about the nature of dreams and immortality, other times with suspicious accusations or displays of temper. You have learned to modulate your approach accordingly, balancing honesty with appropriate deference. Li Feng leads you through the final door into the imperial bedchamber. The room is vast yet intimate, designed according to principles that balance grandeur with comfort. Astronomical charts cover one wall, mapping, the heavens whose movements affect imperial fortunes. Landscape paintings adorn another, showing sacred mountains where immortals dwell. Peaks the emperor has personally climbed in his quest for transcendence. The imperial bed stands on a raised platform, surrounded by screens of carved rosewood, inlaid with mother-of-pearl constellations. Emperor Wu sits at his writing desk, brush poised over paper. At 62, his beard and temples have whitened considerably, yet he maintains the straight-backed posture and penetrating gaze that have intimidated officials and foreign emissaries for decades. He wears relatively simple night robes of embroidered blue silk. Though simple, for an emperor, still involves multiple layers of the finest materials, each with symbolic meanings and proper seasonal associations. "Ah, physician's son," the emperor says without looking up from his calligraphy. "You bring the stone that will finally grant me peaceful sleep." There is skepticism in his tone. He has tried many remedies over the years, from herbal decoctions to elaborate rituals performed by Taoist priests. None have provided lasting relief from the dreams that plague him. You approach and kneel at the proper distance, holding the jade pillow before you with both hands in a gesture of offering. "Your Majesty, this humble servant presents the completed jade pillow, created according to the principles we discussed. It addresses the specific patterns of disharmony revealed by your pulse and other diagnostic signs." Now the emperor sets aside his brush and turns his full attention to you. His gaze shifts to the jade pillow, and something changes in his expression. A softening, perhaps even a flicker of hope, quickly concealed behind imperial reserve. He gestures for you to approach closer. "Explain its workings to me again," he commands, reaching to take the pillow from your hands. His fingers trace the surface, exploring the subtle variations in the jade's color and texture. You move forward on your knees as protocol demands. "Your Majesty, this pillow combines ancient wisdom with new insights. The jade itself comes from the Western Mountains, where it absorbed the essence of earth and water for countless generations before being harvested. It naturally draws excess heat from the body, addressing the fire element that rises inappropriately during your Majesty's sleep cycles." The emperor nods. This much he has heard before when you first proposed the design. You continue, moving into more technical details. Within the jade, invisible channels have been carved to direct ki flow. When your Majesty rests upon it, these channels align with the bladder meridian points along the neck and base of the skull, as well as the governing vessel that runs along the spine to the crown. These are the pathways most disturbed in your sleep patterns. You gesture respectfully toward the subtle carving visible on the pillow's surface. Dragons chasing pearls among cloud formations. The external decoration is not merely aesthetic. Each curve and indentation creates pressure points that stimulate specific acupoints. The dragons represent imperial power, harnessing the elusive pearl of transcendence, transforming troublesome dreams into visions of wisdom. The emperor turns the pillow in his hands, examining it from all angles. "And the cost of this miraculous object?" he asks, though as son of heaven, such worldly concerns are theoretically beneath him. 37 skilled artisans worked for 7 months, Your Majesty. The jade itself required 2 years to locate a specimen of sufficient size and quality. 3 master carvers declined the commission, believing the internal channels would be impossible to create without shattering the stone. Yet here it is, whole and apparently perfect, the emperor muses. Who finally achieved what others deemed impossible? Master Zhang of Shandong, Your Majesty. He developed new tools specifically for this purpose and worked only during auspicious hours determined by court astrologers. He has become blind in one eye from the strain of the detailed work. The emperor's expression becomes thoughtful. Ensure he is appropriately rewarded for his sacrifice. Then his attention returns fully to the pillow. How am I to use it? Are there specific instructions? You explain the proper positioning, how the emperor should lie on his back initially, allowing the jade to cool his head and neck for precisely the time it takes an incense stick to burn halfway. Then he should turn onto his right side, the position recommended by medical classics for optimal organ function during sleep. The pillow will feel unyielding at first, you acknowledge, but this firmness is necessary for the proper alignment of energy channels. Soft materials block qi flow and trap pathogenic heat. Your Majesty may notice a subtle vibration or humming sensation as the jade begins its work. This is the stone's natural resonance with human energy fields. The Emperor listens attentively. Despite his power and sometimes capricious nature, he has always shown genuine interest in medical knowledge and theories of cosmology. This intellectual curiosity has made him both an ideal patient in terms of compliance with treatment and a challenging one in terms of requiring thorough explanations. And the dreams? He asks finally, his voice lowered, though there are no others present to hear. You promise this will end the dreams of blood and warfare. The faces of those who died building my empire will no longer visit me in the night. You choose your words carefully. Your Majesty, the pillow will rebalance disturbed energies and cool overheated spirit. It cannot erase memory or conscience, which exist beyond the realm of physical treatment. However, it will transform how such memories appear in dreams, rendering them instructive rather than tormenting, wisdom rather than regret. The Emperor's gaze sharpens. Another physician might have promised complete relief, seeking only to please. Your honesty, though risky, has always been the foundation of your relationship with the Son of Heaven. Instructive, he repeats softly. Perhaps that is the best we can hope for. The dead will not be silenced completely, but they might speak with clearer purpose. He sets the jade pillow down on his writing desk with surprising gentleness. You will remain tonight, physician's son. I wish you to observe the pillow's effects firsthand and be present should any unexpected reactions occur. You bow your acceptance of this command, though it means a night without sleep for you. The Emperor returns to his calligraphy. You recognize the text as he writes. Verses from the Tao Te Ching about the emptiness that gives a vessel its utility. The brush moves with practiced precision, each character flowing into the next with balanced strength and delicacy. Hours pass. You kneel in a corner of the imperial bedchamber, maintaining respectful silence as the Emperor completes his evening. Activities. Attendants enter to prepare him for sleep, changing his robes, washing his face with warm cloths infused with herbs, arranging the bedding according to precise requirements. Finally, the jade pillow is placed on the bed. The attendants withdraw, leaving only you and 2 imperial guards stationed discreetly by the entrance. The Emperor settles himself on his vast bed, adjusting his position to align with the jade pillow as you have instructed. Despite his age and the constant pain troubles his lower back and knees, he moves with deliberate dignity, never showing weakness before others. He arranges himself carefully, laying his head upon the smooth jade surface. It is cold, he comments. The coldness will diminish as the jade absorbs your Majesty's excess heat, you explain. This is a sign the pillow is functioning correctly. The Emperor nods slightly, his expression contemplative as he gazes up at the canopy above his bed, where celestial maps have been embroidered in gold thread on dark blue silk. You may approach closer. he says after a moment. Observe whatever. You must for your medical records. You move nearer, kneeling beside the imperial bed at a respectful distance. From this position, you can monitor the emperor's breathing, skin color, and subtle energy fluctuations without being presumptuous. Already you notice changes. His facial muscles have relaxed slightly, and the persistent crease between his eyebrows has softened. Tell me, physician's son, the emperor says suddenly, his voice thoughtful. Do you believe dreams are merely the mind processing daily experiences, as some scholars claim? Or are they communications from beyond our ordinary understanding? Messages from spirits, ancestors, or even portents of future events? It is a profound question with political and philosophical implications. Various schools of thought in the Han court have different positions on dream interpretation, and aligning yourself too strongly with one faction could be dangerous. Yet the emperor seems to be asking for your genuine opinion. This humble servant believes dreams exist at the intersection of multiple truths, you answer carefully. Our bodies and daily experiences certainly influence dream content. When the liver is overheated, dreams of anger and conflict naturally arise. Yet dreams also connect us to deeper wisdom, both personal and collective. They are neither purely physical nor purely spiritual, but a bridge between realms. The emperor considers this. A bridge, he repeats. Yes, that aligns with my experience. Sometimes I dream of conversations with ministers long dead, who offer perspectives I had not considered. Are they truly visiting me from the afterlife, or is my mind simply accessing memories of their wisdom in a new configuration? Perhaps the distinction matters less than the wisdom itself, you suggest. The emperor's lips curve in a slight smile. A diplomatic answer, but not without merit. He shifts position slightly, turning as instructed onto his right side. The pillow grows warmer now, and less uncomfortable. There is indeed a subtle vibration, as you predicted. You nod, pleased that the jade is responding as expected. The vibration indicates proper qi circulation through the internal channels. It will guide your Majesty's dream spirits along beneficial pathways. Time passes in comfortable silence. The Emperor's breathing gradually deepens and slows. His hands, which have been restless, finally relax. You observe the subtle changes that indicate transition into sleep. The slight shift in breathing pattern, the complete relaxation of facial muscles, the occasional rapid movement beneath closed eyelids, marking the beginning of dreams. Even in sleep, the Emperor maintains a certain dignity. His position remains proper, his expression serene. You watch carefully for any signs of distress, the furrowed brow, clenched jaw, or agitated movements that have characterized his disturbed sleep in recent years. Tonight, however, these signs are absent. Hours pass. You maintain your vigil, occasionally checking the Emperor's pulse at the wrist when you can do so without disturbing his rest. The quality of the pulse improves as the night progresses, becoming deeper, smoother, more regular. The jade pillow appears to be fulfilling its purpose, guiding the imperial qi through proper channels, cooling excess heat, calming the spirit. Near dawn, something changes. The Emperor's breathing quickens slightly, and his eyes move rapidly beneath their lids. Signs of particularly active dreaming. A few words escape his lips, too soft to be clearly understood. You lean closer, straining to hear without being disrespectful. The mountain, yes, I see it now. The Emperor's voice is barely a whisper, yet surprisingly clear. The immortals await. The cinnabar fields transform. 5 colored clouds. You recognize the references. Imagery from Taoist traditions of transcendence and immortality. These are not the troubled dreams of warfare and regret that have plagued him, but visions with spiritual significance, potentially auspicious omens. Gradually, the eastern sky lightens. Court musicians in a distant courtyard play soft notes on the qin to announce the coming dawn. The emperor stirs, transitioning naturally from sleep to wakefulness. His eyes open, immediately alert and focused, a marked contrast to the exhausted confusion that has characterized his mornings recently. He sits up without assistance, looking first at the jade pillow and then at you. "Physician's son," he says, his voice stronger and clearer than it has been in months. "Record in your medical journals that the treatment has been successful." You bow deeply, relief and professional satisfaction flowing through you. This humble servant rejoices at your Majesty's improved rest. "May I inquire about the nature of your dreams?" The emperor rises from his bed, moving with unusual vigor as attendants rush forward with mourning robes. "I dreamed of Mount Tai," he says, referring to the sacred peak where he has performed imperial Feng ceremonies. "But not as I have seen it in waking life. In my dream, the mountain revealed its inner structure, jade passages leading to vast interior chambers where immortals brew elixirs of transcendence." He pauses, allowing attendants to dress him before continuing. "The immortals showed me texts written in starlight, explaining how the human body contains the entire cosmos in miniature. The cinnabar field in the lower abdomen transforms base energies into spirit, just as alchemists transform lead into gold. They spoke of techniques to circulate qi through the body's channels, breaking through blockages that accumulate with age and worldly concern." You listen attentively. These dream elements reflect Taoist cosmology and internal alchemy practices, consistent with the emperor's long-standing interest in immortality techniques, yet presented with unusual clarity and detail. "Most significantly," the emperor continues, "the dream contained instruction rather than torment. There were no accusing faces, no rivers of blood, no collapsing buildings crushing workers. Even when figures from the past appeared, they came as teachers rather than accusers." He turns to face you directly, fully dressed now in imperial yellow robes embroidered with dragon motifs. "The jade pillow will remain in my chambers permanently. You will supervise its care. No one else is to touch it except as you direct. You will also prepare a detailed document recording its creation and proper use, to be sealed in the imperial archives for future generations." You bow in acknowledgement of these commands. "As your Majesty wishes," this humble servant recommends using the pillow for 7 consecutive nights, then alternating with conventional bedding to prevent the body from becoming too accustomed to its effects. The emperor nods his approval of this recommendation. "You will attend me again tonight to monitor its continued effectiveness." He hesitates, then adds something unexpected, "and to record any further dream instructions. I believe what I experienced was not merely relief from troubling dreams, but access to genuine wisdom from beyond ordinary consciousness." In the days that follow, you observe remarkable changes in the emperor. His chronic irritability diminishes. His focus during court proceedings sharpens. Physical symptoms that have troubled him for years, digestive complaints, headaches, joint pain, show noticeable improvement. Most significantly, his interest in governance renews after years of increasing preoccupation with immortality practices to the neglect of state affairs. The jade pillow becomes central to imperial night rituals. You supervise its care, instructing attendants on proper cleaning methods using only purified water and specific cloths. ensuring it is stored in a cedar wood box lined with black silk when not in use, arranging for it to be recharged periodically, in moonlight, on auspicious dates. More importantly, you document the emperor's dream experiences. Night after night, he reports dreams of extraordinary clarity and significance. Some contain what appear to be innovations in medical knowledge, techniques, for diagnosis and treatment that you cautiously begin to incorporate into your practice with promising results. Others reveal insights into astronomy, mathematics, or statecraft that the emperor shares with appropriate officials, leading to practical improvements in administration and technology. Word of the miraculous pillow spreads through the palace, despite efforts at discretion. Courtiers and ministers note the emperor's improved temperament and health. Some begin seeking jade pillows for themselves, creating a sudden demand that drives prices to extraordinary levels. Lesser artisans produce inferior imitations, lacking the crucial internal channels and proper material quality. You find yourself unexpectedly appointed as Imperial Regulator of Dream Technologies, tasked with establishing standards for medicinal pillows and preventing fraudulent claims. You develop a certification system for both materials and craftspeople, ensuring that those who can afford such luxuries at least receive genuine therapeutic benefits rather than mere expensive ornaments. 6 months after introducing the jade pillow, you are summoned to a private audience with the emperor. When you arrive at his study, you find him examining architectural plans, designs for a new structure on the palace grounds. Physician's son, he greets you. What would you say has been the most significant outcome of our jade pillow experiment? You consider carefully before answering. Beyond your Majesty's improved health and temperament, perhaps the most significant outcome has been the bridge created between waking knowledge and dream wisdom. The pillow has not merely provided rest, but access to deeper understanding. The emperor looks pleased with your answer. Precisely. And it is this bridge that I now wish to institutionalize. He gestures to the architectural plans. These are designs for what will be called the Pavilion of Dream Cultivation, a research center dedicated to the systematic study of dreams as sources of knowledge. He explains his vision, a facility where selected scholars, physicians, and artists will study dream phenomena using various technologies, including specially designed pillows. The pavilion will include sleeping chambers, recording rooms where dream accounts can be documented immediately upon waking, libraries of dream, records and workshops where new sleep technologies can be developed. You will oversee this project, the Emperor informs you. Select appropriate personnel, establish research protocols, and ensure that valuable insights are properly recorded and implemented. The assignment represents a tremendous honor and responsibility. It also represents a significant evolution in how dreams are understood, not merely as personal experiences or supernatural omens, but as methodical access points to knowledge that can benefit the Empire. Over the next 2 years, the Pavilion of Dream Cultivation becomes a reality. Under your direction, researchers develop an expanded taxonomy of dream types, correlating them with physical conditions, personality traits, and external influences such as diet and seasonal factors. Craftspeople create increasingly sophisticated pillows using various materials, jade of different colors and qualities, ceramic with specific mineral inclusions, wood from particular trees with medicinal properties, bronze with precise metallurgical compositions. These pillows are not merely medical devices, but technologies for accessing specific types of dreams. Green jade pillows like the Emperor's original promote dreams of natural wisdom and spiritual insight. White jade varieties enhance dreams of clarification, and purification. Ceramic pillows with copper inclusions stimulate dreams related to innovation and practical invention. Wooden pillows carved from catalpa trees encourage dreams of literary composition and poetic inspiration. The emperor continues to use his original jade pillow, though now as part of a systematic rotation designed by Yu to access different dream states on different nights. On specific evenings aligned with astrological events, he sleeps on a pillow of meteoric iron, believed to connect dreams with celestial wisdom. Before important military decisions, he uses a pillow of red jasper that traditional lore associates with strategic insight. 7 years after the creation of the original jade pillow, the emperor falls ill with what proves to be his final sickness. Despite all efforts, herbal remedies, acupuncture, prayers, and magical interventions, his condition deteriorates. As death approaches, he summons you to his bedside. "My jade pillow," he whispers, his once powerful voice now fragile. "It must be buried with me, not as a mere grave good, but as a technology for the journey ahead." You understand his meaning immediately. In traditional beliefs, death is not an end, but a transition. The Hun soul travels to the ancestral realm, while the Po soul remains with the body. The jade pillow, which has guided his dreams in life, might similarly guide his spirit through the complexities of the afterlife journey. "It shall be as your majesty commands," you assure him. "And one more thing," the emperor adds, summoning his remaining strength. "Prepare a second pillow, identical in every respect, to remain in the world of the living. It will be a connection between realms, allowing my successor to receive guidance through dreams." This request presents an immense challenge. The original jade source has been depleted, and Master Zhang of Shandong has died, taking many technical secrets with him. Creating a truly identical pillow seems impossible, yet you bow in acceptance, unwilling to deny the emperor's final wish. After the emperor's death, elaborate funeral preparations begin. His body is placed in multiple nested coffins surrounded by treasures for the afterlife, ceremonial weapons, ritual vessels, silks, and precious stones. As promised, you personally place the jade pillow beneath his head in the innermost coffin, whispering traditional phrases to activate its protective and guiding properties. Meanwhile, you face the seemingly impossible task of creating an identical replacement. You journey to the Western Mountains yourself, searching for jade of similar quality. After months of effort, a suitable specimen is located, not identical, but remarkably close in color, translucence, and energetic properties. You assemble a team of the finest carvers, including 2 who had worked as apprentices under Master Zhang. For an entire year, these artisans work to recreate the internal channels and external decorations of the original pillow. They develop new tools and techniques, working from detailed drawings you had made of the original. The process requires extraordinary precision. A single misplaced cut could shatter the jade or disrupt the crucial energy pathways. When the new pillow is finally complete, you present it to Emperor Zhao, Wu's teenage successor. The young emperor receives it with appropriate ceremony, but shows little genuine interest. His education has emphasized practical statecraft, rather than the metaphysical explorations that fascinated his predecessor. Nevertheless, court protocol requires him to use the pillow on significant dates related to ancestor worship. On the 3rd anniversary of Emperor Wu's death, young Emperor Zhao sleeps on the jade pillow as ritual demands. The following morning, he appears at court visibly shaken. He summons you privately afterward. "I dreamed of my imperial grandfather. he tells you, his youthful voice unsteady. Not as I remember him in life, old and often stern, but as a guide through vast celestial libraries. He showed me texts containing solutions to problems currently facing the Empire, specific policy adjustments, diplomatic approaches to barbarian tribes, methods to address the flooding along the Yellow River. The young emperor's eyes reflect a mixture of awe and confusion. Was this merely a dream constructed from my own anxieties about governance? Or has his spirit truly reached across the boundary between worlds? The distinction may not be crucial. Your Majesty, you respond, echoing words you once spoke to his grandfather. What matters is the wisdom itself, and whether it proves beneficial when applied. Emperor Zhao implements several of the policies suggested in his dream. When they prove successful, his interest in dream technology deepens. The Pavilion of Dream Cultivation receives increased funding and imperial attention. New research directions emerge, including comparative studies of dream experiences across different segments of the population and investigations into collective dreaming techniques that might allow multiple dreamers to access the same dream space. As you enter your final years, you compile your knowledge into a comprehensive text titled The Yellow Emperor's Manual of Dream Cultivation. The work includes technical information about pillow design and use, theoretical frameworks for understanding different dream states, and case studies documenting significant dreams and their waking applications. You are careful to present these as natural phenomena rather than supernatural interventions, protecting the discipline from charges of heterodox magical practice that might arise under future administrations. After your death, the discipline you established continues to evolve. Dream technology becomes an accepted, if specialized branch of imperial science. The jade pillows you designed become dynastic treasures, passed from emperor to emperor as symbols of the connection between worldly governance and deeper wisdom. During periods of philosophical rationalism, dream research falls from favor, dismissed as superstitious. In other eras, it flourishes, with new materials and designs enhancing the original concepts. Bronze pillows inlaid with gold channels, porcelain pillows incorporating ground gemstones, wooden pillows carved from ancient ginkgo trees. Each represents a cultural and technological evolution of the fundamental insight that the physical conditions of sleep influence the quality and content of dreams. Centuries pass. Dynasties rise and fall. The original jade pillow, buried with Emperor Wu, remains in his tomb, undisturbed by grave robbers who plunder more obvious treasures but overlook what appears to be a simple headrest. The duplicate pillow changes hands many times, its significance gradually forgotten as it becomes viewed as merely an art object rather than a sophisticated technology. Eventually, after nearly 2,000 years, the duplicate pillow finds its way to a museum in a distant land, displayed as an example of ancient Chinese decorative arts. The accompanying label notes its exceptional craftsmanship, but says nothing of its true purpose or the research tradition it represents. Occasionally, a visitor might linger before this display, feeling an inexplicable resonance with the jade object. Perhaps they experience unusual dreams in the nights following their museum visit. Dreams of ancient courts, celestial libraries, or conversations with wise figures from the past. Most dismiss these experiences as coincidence or the power of suggestion. Yet the technology you developed continues to function across millennia, connecting receptive minds with sources of wisdom that transcend ordinary consciousness. The soft power of the jade pillow, its ability to influence without force, to guide without compulsion, remains potent long after its original creation, a testament to to the sophisticated understanding of mind-body connections achieved in ancient China and largely forgotten in the modern world. In rare moments when the barriers between past and present thin, someone might dream of you, the physician who recognized that how we rest our heads shapes how we dream, and how we dream shapes how we understand reality itself. In these dreams, you continue to teach, guiding new generations to rediscover the profound connections between material objects, physical bodies, and the limitless realm of consciousness that ancient Chinese civilization explored with such sophistication and care. As the night deepens and stars shift in their ancient patterns, another tale emerges from the shadows of history. Close your eyes and feel the weight of centuries passing like silk through gentle fingers. The evening air carries the scent of plum blossoms as you make your way along the stone path winding through your garden. Twilight paints the landscape in muted blues and purples, transforming familiar shapes into mysterious silhouettes. The year is 1126, and you are a scholar official in the Southern Song dynasty, living in temporary exile from the capital. Your modest estate outside Hangzhou offers refuge from the political turmoil that has engulfed the northern territories, now lost to Yurshin invaders. In your hands, you cradle a peculiar object, a pillow carved from a single piece of limestone, its surface worn smooth from decades of use. Unlike the ceramic pillows favored by the wealthy or the stuffed cloth pillows used by commoners, this stone pillow has been in your family for 3 generations. Its shape is irregular, resembling a miniature mountain range with gentle valleys, where one's neck might rest. Natural patterns in the stone create landscapes, dark veins suggesting distant ridges, crystalline inclusions sparkling like stars or distant lights. You reach your favorite meditation pavilion, a simple wooden structure overlooking a small pond. Settling onto a bamboo mat, you place the stone pillow before you, studying it in the fading light. Legend claims your grandfather discovered this stone while wandering in the Tiantai Mountains, known for their spiritual significance in both Buddhist and Taoist traditions. He had been searching for rare medicinal herbs, but returned instead with this curious rock, declaring it a pillow that enables dreams of ancestral wisdom. Since childhood, you've heard stories of this pillow's unusual properties. Your father, a minor official noted for his uncanny ability to predict political developments, attributed his foresight to dreams received while sleeping on this stone. He had passed it to you 5 years ago on his deathbed, whispering, "In times of confusion, let the stone guide you." It connects our small human concerns to greater patterns. Those words return to you now with renewed significance. The empire stands at a precipice. The glorious northern song has fallen. Its territories overrun, the emperor himself captured by barbarian invaders. The court has fled south to establish a diminished but continuing dynasty. As a mid-ranking official with expertise in waterworks and agricultural administration, you've been temporarily relieved of duties, ostensibly to mourn your recently deceased mother. But in reality, because your previous associations with now disgraced political factions make you temporarily suspect. This enforced retreat has become a period of reflection. Each evening, you walk your garden, contemplating what wisdom might guide the reimagining of a broken empire. Each night, you rest your head upon the stone pillow, seeking dreams that might illuminate a path forward, not just for your career, but for a civilization in crisis. Tonight feels different. Earlier today, a messenger arrived with sealed correspondence. The imperial court requires your expertise. Dangerous floods threaten newly established agricultural regions, and your reputation as a hydrological engineer has evidently outweighed political concerns. You are summoned to Hangzhou to assist in designing water control systems for the lower Yangtze region. The assignment represents both opportunity and peril. Success could restore your standing and allow you to implement long-held ideas about sustainable agriculture. Failure could permanently end your career, or worse, as the new regime deals harshly with those who disappoint. The complex politics surrounding water management add further complications, with powerful landowners often opposing projects that might limit their control over local resources. You lift the stone pillow, feeling its substantial weight, a physical embodiment of the burden of responsibility. Its surface retains the day's warmth, absorbed from sunlight. Unlike jade or ceramic pillows that start cool against the skin, this stone seems almost alive, responsive to its environment. You've noticed over years of use that it develops a subtle luminosity in moonlight and carries different energetic qualities according to the seasons. Night has fully descended now. You rise, cradling the pillow, and make your way back through the garden to your sleeping chambers. Your servant Li has prepared the room, a simple platform bed with clean linen bedding, an oil lamp casting gentle light, a pot of chrysanthemum tea keeping warm on a small brazier. The window shutters stand open to admit the late spring breeze and the singing of night insects. You dismiss Li with a gesture, preferring solitude for your evening rituals. Changing into sleeping robes of plain but fine hemp cloth, you perform the brief meditation practice taught by your father, centering awareness in the lower dantian, harmonizing breath, acknowledging the day's thoughts and concerns before releasing them into emptiness. Finally, you arrange your sleeping mat and place the stone pillow precisely where it will support your neck correctly. Extinguishing the lamp, you lie down in darkness. The stone feels neutral against your skin, neither warm nor cool, as if matching your body's temperature. Its irregular surface somehow accommodates the curve of your neck perfectly, though visitors who have tried the pillow invariably find it uncomfortable. Your family has long believed the stone responds differently to each person, revealing its secrets only to those of direct lineage. As you settle into position, you formulate the question that has occupied your thoughts all day. How might water be managed to serve both imperial needs and local prosperity while honoring the natural principles that govern rivers and streams? This technique of setting a specific inquiry before sleep is one your father taught you, a way of directing dreams toward practical wisdom rather than mere fantasy. Sleep approaches gradually. You notice the familiar transition, how the stone pillow seems to soften not physically but perceptually, how your awareness expands beyond the boundaries of your body, how the sounds of night insects transform from distinct chirps and trills into a unified cosmic hum. Your last conscious thought acknowledges the ancient Chinese understanding that sleep represents a small death, a temporary release of spirit from form, allowing journeys beyond ordinary limitations. Your dream begins with startling clarity. You stand on a mountainside, overlooking a vast river valley. The landscape appears simultaneously as actual terrain and as a living map. Waterways pulsing with light, fields changing color with seasons, mountains breathing slowly like slumbering giants. You recognize this as the region you've been summoned to help. The lower Yangtze with its complex network of rivers, lakes, and wetlands. A figure appears beside you, an elderly man in the robes of a Tang dynasty official, his long beard fluttering in the mountain wind. You recognize your grandfather, though you never met him in life, having been born years after his death. He points to the valley below with a slender bamboo staff. Water remembers, he says, his voice somehow both distant and intimately close. Before designing channels to control its movement, one must first understand the memory written in the land. At his words, the landscape below transforms. You see the river valley as it existed thousands of years ago, wild, untamed, periodically, flooding vast regions. Then human settlements appear, small at first, gradually expanding. Early dikes and channels emerge, some working harmoniously with natural patterns, others imposing arbitrary grids that repeatedly fail, washing away in spectacular floods. Your grandfather guides you through centuries of water management history, in what feels like moments, showing successful systems and catastrophic failures, highlighting the patterns that persist beneath surface changes. You see how certain approaches honor the river's natural tendencies, while others fight against them, inevitably losing the battle despite impressive short-term victories. Notice, your grandfather says, how the truly enduring solutions embrace three principles. They respect water's desire to find its own level. They distribute benefits widely rather than concentrating them. And they plan across generations rather than for immediate gain. The scene shifts. You now stand in an imperial library, scrolls and bamboo texts surrounding you in towering shelves. Your grandfather is replaced by another figure, a woman in simple robes who you somehow know is the legendary hydrologist Pan Ji, who lived 6 centuries earlier during the Northern Wei dynasty. Her water management systems were so effective, they continued functioning for hundreds of years after her death. "What do you see when you look at water?" she asks, unrolling a map across a large stone table. "A force to be controlled," you answer automatically, repeating the conventional wisdom of imperial engineering. She smiles slightly, disappointment evident in her eyes. "Then you will fail, as others have failed. Water is not merely a force, but a living system with memory and intention. It seeks harmony, not domination. The engineer who fights water creates an enemy with infinite patience. The engineer who partners with water gains an ally of immeasurable power." She points to her map, not a conventional rendering, but a unique system that shows waterways as branches of energy flowing through the landscape's body. The resemblance to acupuncture charts is unmistakable. Just as qi flows through meridians in the human form, water follows energy pathways in the Earth's body. Blockages create disease. Excessive control leads to catastrophic release. Gentle redirection preserves harmony. Panji guides you through specific techniques. How to read a river's history in the stones along its banks. How to identify hidden springs by observing vegetation patterns. How to design irrigation systems that become more stable rather than less as they age. Her knowledge combines practical engineering with subtle energy awareness that traditional imperial education has never exposed you to. Remember, she tells you as the library scene begins to fade, the most powerful interventions often appear minimal. A single stone strategically placed can redirect a current more effectively than a massive wall that the river will eventually undermine. The dream shifts again. Now you walk through rice fields with a farmer whose weathered face speaks of decades under the sun. Though dressed in contemporary clothing, something about him suggests he represents countless generations of agricultural wisdom. "Officials come and go," he says without preamble, each with grand schemes that look impressive on maps. But water outlasts all human plans. We who live with the land see what imperial engineers miss, how fields speak to water and water answers, according to how it is addressed. He demonstrates farming techniques that work with water's natural tendencies, terraced fields that slow its descent, retention ponds that capture silt while clarifying flow, planting patterns that strengthen soil against erosion. These methods require more initial labor but create self-maintaining systems that improve rather than degrade over time. Court officials seek to control too much, the farmer says. True mastery comes from establishing conditions where natural processes do the work willingly. A field that fights water must be constantly defended. A field that welcomes water properly becomes more fertile with each season. Throughout the night, your dreams continue in this vein. Encounters with figures who embody different perspectives on water management. A Taoist priest shows you how to identify earth energies that influence water behavior. A merchant reveals economic patterns that incentivize either sustainable or exploitative approaches. A military strategist explains how water control intersects with national defense concerns. Each conversation adds layers to your understanding, challenging conventional approaches while suggesting innovations rooted in ancient wisdom. As dawn approaches in the waking world, your dream culminates in a return to the mountain viewpoint where it began. Your grandfather stands beside you again, but now you're surrounded by all the dream teachers from the night's journey. The hydrologist, the farmer, the priest, the merchant, the strategist. Together, you look down at the river valley, which now shows multiple possible futures based on different management approaches. The stone pillow has shown you water's perspective, your grandfather explains. This knowledge was considered too dangerous by those who seek control above harmony, which is why it doesn't appear in imperial texts. Each generation of our family has preserved it through dream transmission rather than written record. You, Guy, begin to ask a question, but the dream is already dissolving. The figures fade, the landscape blurs, and you feel yourself returning to your body. As consciousness resurfaces, you retain one final message from your grandfather. The Empire focuses on controlling water's movement, but your task is to understand water's nature. In this understanding lies the solution that serves all. You awaken with the first light of dawn, your mind extraordinarily clear. The stone pillow beneath your head feels different somehow, almost humming with energy. You rise and immediately begin making notes of your dream insights, recording specific techniques and perspectives before they can fade from memory. What emerges is not a conventional engineering plan, but a revolutionary approach to water management that integrates natural principles with human needs. Over the following months, your work in the lower Yangtze region puts these dream-derived principles into practice. Initial resistance from conventional engineers and local power holders gradually gives way as your methods demonstrate unexpected effectiveness. Rather than imposing massive infrastructure that fights against natural water patterns, you implement subtle interventions that work with existing flows. Where traditional approaches would build higher dikes to contain floodwaters, you create strategically placed wetlands that absorb excess while providing new agricultural opportunities. Your reputation grows as projects succeed beyond expectations. What nobody realizes is how regularly you consult the stone pillow, sleeping with it not just at night, but taking strategic afternoon naps before major decisions. The dream teachers continue to appear, offering guidance on specific challenges and corrections when you begin to drift toward conventional thinking. 3 years into your work, unprecedented rains create flooding conditions that threaten the entire region. Traditional water control systems fail catastrophically in neighboring areas, but your redesigned watersheds absorb the excess without major damage. When an imperial commission investigates this remarkable outcome, you are elevated to a senior position overseeing water management for the entire Southern Song territory. With this promotion comes a move to Hangzhou and accommodation in the imperial compound. Luxurious compared to your modest estate, but restrictive in ways that concern you. Court politics intrude on technical decisions. Rivals question your methods despite their demonstrated success. Most worrying is the growing distance from the land itself. Maps and reports replace direct observation. Administrative concerns overshadow ecological understanding. Throughout these challenges, the stone pillow remains your most trusted advisor. You keep it in a specially constructed box, hidden even from servants. Each night, you place it beneath your head, sometimes with specific questions, other times simply opening yourself to whatever wisdom it might channel. 5 years into your imperial service, the dreams change. Rather than offering technical solutions, they increasingly show you the inevitable failure of centralized control systems separated from direct land knowledge. You see dynasties rise and fall, each repeating similar patterns of initial harmony with natural systems, followed by growing rigidity and eventual collapse when environmental realities reassert themselves. One dream particularly disturbs you. Your grandfather appears looking troubled, leading you to an imperial archive where you watch as your water management records are selectively edited, the deeper principles and natural harmony approaches removed, leaving only the technical specifications and administrative structures. This is happening already, he tells you. Your work is being converted into another tool of control rather than partnership with natural systems. Investigation confirms this warning. Your detailed explanations of working with local conditions are being simplified into standardized approaches. For empire-wide implementation, losing the essential principle of adaptation to specific landscapes. Your emphasis on distributed systems maintained by local knowledge is being replaced by centralized control, requiring imperial oversight. This revelation forces a profound choice. Continue within a system that will inevitably distort your work, or step away to preserve and develop the knowledge in its true form. After months of dream consultations and difficult reflection, you submit a formal request for retirement, citing health concerns. The Emperor, grateful for your contributions and unaware of your disillusionment, grants this request with generous provisions for a comfortable retreat. You return to your estate outside Hangzhou, now expanded and improved with your imperial earnings. Here, you establish what outwardly appears to be a scholarly retreat, but actually functions as a school for alternative approaches to environmental engineering. Select students, chosen not for their political connections, but for their genuine understanding of natural systems, come to study methods that never appear in official curricula. Central to this hidden school is the knowledge of dream cultivation through proper pillow selection and use. You commission various types from skilled craftspeople: ceramic pillows for analytical thinking, wooden pillows for creative insight, stone pillows, though none as powerful as your inherited one, for connecting with land energies. Students learn to select materials appropriate to the type of dream wisdom they seek, and to formulate questions that the dreaming mind can effectively address. Your original stone pillow, now showing visible wear from decades of use, becomes increasingly selective about who can access its wisdom. Some students report profound experiences and practical insights when permitted to use it. Others experience only ordinary dreams or uncomfortable sleep. You come to understand that the pillow itself chooses its succession, that certain individuals resonate with its particular frequencies, while others must find different paths to wisdom. As you enter your 7th decade, you begin preparing for the pillow's future. Dream messages indicate it should not remain in any institution, but continue moving through individual transmission to those who can use its wisdom properly. You identify a promising young scholar, not of your bloodline, but possessing remarkable sensitivity to environmental patterns, as the stone's next custodian. The formal transmission occurs during a specially selected, astronomically auspicious evening. You and your chosen successor meditate together with the stone pillow placed between you. As incense burns and distant temple bells mark the midnight hour, you share a simultaneous dream. Standing together on the mountainside where your journey began decades earlier, receiving approval from your grandfather and the lineage of wisdom holders stretching back into antiquity. Upon awakening, you formally present the stone pillow to your successor, along with a small manuscript containing essential knowledge about its care and use. Much is deliberately left unwritten. The deepest teachings will continue through dream transmission rather than documentary record, protecting them from political appropriation or misuse. In the years that follow, you sleep on more conventional pillows, ceramic in summer, cloth stuffed in winter. Your dreams remain meaningful, but lack the extraordinary clarity and multi-generational perspective that the stone pillow provided. You recognize this diminishment as a necessary transition, part of preparing for your eventual departure from the physical world. Occasionally, your successor visits, sharing accounts of dreams and insights gained through the stone. You notice how the pillow continues to evolve its teachings, addressing new challenges appropriate to changing times, while maintaining core principles of harmony between human activity and natural systems. What began as specific guidance for water management has expanded into a comprehensive philosophy of sustainable civilization, one quietly preserved and transmitted outside official channels. When you finally pass from this world in your 82nd year, your physical legacy is modest by imperial standards. Some engineering work still functioning in the Yangtze Basin, technical texts in the court archives, increasingly modified by subsequent officials, a small school that within decades will be absorbed into conventional Confucian education. Yet your true legacy continues its journey through time, embodied in the unassuming stone pillow that passes from one wisdom keeper to another across generations. Through periods of imperial consolidation and collapse, foreign invasion and cultural renaissance, the stone maintains its essential function, connecting receptive minds to perspectives that transcend individual lifetimes and conventional thinking. Over centuries, the pillow's physical appearance changes. Countless nights of contact with human skin polish its surface to an almost jade-like luster. The original crystalline inclusions become more pronounced as softer stone material gradually wears away. Its shape subtly evolves, conforming ever more perfectly to the human neck and skull. Yet its essential nature, its ability to facilitate extraordinary dreams, remains constant. The pillow witnesses the rise and fall of the Yuan dynasty, survives the early Ming period hidden in a remote temple when imperial edicts mandate the destruction of all Song cultural artifacts, re-emerges during the Wanli Emperor's reign, when interest in dream studies briefly flourishes, disappears again during the Qing conquest, and continues its clandestine journey through China's long and turbulent history. Along the way, it serves scholars and farmers, officials and artisans, occasionally even emperors, briefly separated from imperial luxuries. Each steward adds to its accumulated wisdom. Each dreamer contributes perspectives that enrich its teachings. Some use its insights to design irrigation systems that function for centuries without failure. Others apply its principles to urban planning, creating cities that work harmoniously with surrounding landscapes. A few recognize its potential for personal transformation, using dream-derived wisdom to cultivate internal harmony, reflecting external natural patterns. Throughout these transitions, the stone pillow maintains its independence from institutional control. Though occasionally housed in schools, temples, or official residences, It never becomes a formally acknowledged treasure or registered artifact. Its power remains personal rather than systemic, transformative rather than controlling available, to those who approach it with genuine receptivity rather than desire for advantage. In the early 20th century, during periods of extreme political turmoil, the pillow faces its greatest threat when its current custodian, a rural physician with unusual success treating complex cases through dream-diagnosed remedies, is denounced for superstitious practices. Revolutionary authorities confiscate his belongings, including the ancient stone. For decades, the pillow sits unrecognized in a provincial storage facility, catalogued simply as stone object, possible antiquity, unknown function. Its energies diminish without human contact, its accumulated wisdom seemingly dormant. Yet even in this suspended state, it affects those who handle it during periodic inventory checks, giving storehouse workers unusually vivid dreams on nights, following contact, dreams of flowing water, harmonious landscapes, and ancient wisdom patiently waiting to be rediscovered. Finally, during a modernization initiative that transfers select items to municipal museums, the stone pillow attracts the attention of a young curator specializing in everyday objects from historical periods. Something about its unusual shape and extraordinary patina suggests significance beyond ordinary classification. She arranges for it to be included in an exhibition on sleep customs throughout Chinese history. During the exhibition's preparation, the curator frequently handles the stone, measuring and photographing it for catalogue documentation. Her dreams begin to change, becoming more vivid, coherent, and informative. Landscapes appear with unprecedented detail. Historical figures engage her in conversation about environmental principles and sustainable design. She awakens each morning with insights about exhibition themes that hadn't occurred to her through conventional research. On impulse, defying museum protocols, she takes the pillow home one evening and sleeps with it beneath her head. The resulting dream experience is so profound, a complete immersion in Song Dynasty water management philosophy and its contemporary applications, that she understands immediately what she has discovered. Returning the pillow to the museum, she faces an ethical dilemma. Museum practices would demand scientific analysis, material testing, perhaps even destructive sampling to determine the stone's composition and age. Conservation protocols would prohibit physical contact, sealing the object behind glass or in climate-controlled storage. Either approach would prevent the pillow from fulfilling its essential function as a dream technology meant for direct use. After considerable reflection, she makes a controversial professional choice. Her exhibition catalogue deliberately understates the pillow's significance, describing it simply as Scholar's Stone Pillow, Song Dynasty, limestone with natural inclusions. She positions it in a relatively obscure corner of the exhibition without dramatic lighting or special attention. Meanwhile, she begins quietly researching its history through dream-guided investigation, using her legitimate access to handle the pillow regularly while documenting her experiences in a private journal. Through these dream connections, she gradually recovers the lineage of wisdom that began with your grandfather's mountain discovery nearly 1,000 years earlier. She learns how the pillow has served as a repository for environmental knowledge too revolutionary or subtle for conventional documentation. Most importantly, she recognizes her own role in continuing this transmission during an era when such wisdom has become more crucial than ever. When the exhibition ends, she ensures the pillow is classified for research storage rather than public display, giving her continued access while protecting it from inappropriate intervention. On precisely selected nights, full moons, solstices, and traditional Chinese calendar dates associated with environmental transitions. She continues the ancient practice of sleeping with the stone beneath her head, receiving guidance for contemporary applications of its accumulated wisdom. Gradually, she identifies others who show receptivity to the pillow's teachings. Environmental scientists frustrated by reductionist approaches, urban planners seeking sustainable alternatives, farmers interested in traditional methods enhanced by modern understanding. One by one, she introduces them to the stone, allowing them supervised dream experiences that complement their professional knowledge with insights from across the centuries. A new lineage forms, informal, unaffiliated with any institution, yet increasingly influential as its members apply ancient wisdom to contemporary challenges. Sustainable urban water systems based on principles you first implemented in the 12th century begin appearing in modern Chinese cities. Agricultural methods that honor water's natural tendencies gain recognition for their resilience in the face of climate instability. The harmonic relationship between human engineering and natural systems, preserved and transmitted through dreams across nearly a millennium, gradually re-emerges into practical application, and the stone pillow itself continues its journey, neither fully revealed to the world nor completely hidden from it, maintaining the delicate balance between accessibility and protection that has preserved its wisdom through dynastic collapses, political revolutions, and technological transformations. In rare moments of historical clarity, when the veil between past and present temporarily thins, you might glimpse the ongoing influence of your choice made long ago, to trust dream wisdom over imperial doctrine, to preserve knowledge through direct transmission rather than institutional channels. From your perspective, beyond ordinary time, you observe how the humble stone pillow you inherited continues its essential work, connecting human consciousness to deeper patterns, cultivating dreams that remember water's wisdom, guiding civilization toward harmony rather than inevitable collapse. As midnight approaches and the world grows still, another whispered tale emerges from the treasure house of memory. Feel yourself sinking deeper into this moment, as ancient secrets reveal themselves through the gentle language of dreams. The rain falls in gentle persistence against the tiled roof of your small study. Outside, the garden pathways have turned to streams of liquid silver in the moonlight, water pooling between carefully arranged stones and dripping from the edges of bamboo leaves. Inside, protected from the elements, you sit cross-legged on a woven mat, a single oil lamp casting shadows that dance across the walls like figures from another world. Before you, on a lacquered tray, rests an object of extraordinary craftsmanship, a ceramic pillow unlike any you have seen before. Its form follows the conventional shape favored by scholars during this Tang Dynasty period. Rectangular base rising to a gentle curve designed to support the neck rather than cushion the head. But their conventional similarities end. The pillow's surface is covered entirely with inscriptions, thousands of minute characters flowing across the glaze in organized patterns. Some you recognize as ancient forms of Chinese script, archaic versions of characters used centuries before your time. Others appear to be scripts from distant lands, Sogdian merchant notations, Sanskrit variations, even what might be Persian, or scripts from lands beyond your knowledge. Most mysterious are symbols that correspond to no writing system you have encountered in your considerable studies. Curves, angles, and dots arranged with obvious intention, yet utterly foreign to your understanding. This remarkable object arrived 3 days ago, delivered by a merchant claiming to represent a distant monastery in the western regions. The accompanying letter written in exquisite calligraphy on paper so fine it seemed almost translucent, explained little while suggesting much. This pillow of forgotten alphabets comes to you as guardian of written knowledge. In dreams it grants, ancient words return to life. Use it wisely, for language once awakened seeks expression. As imperial librarian serving in the Grand Library of Chang'an in the year 824, you have encountered many extraordinary texts and objects. The Tang dynasty represents the height of cultural exchange along the Silk Road, with merchants, monks, and scholars from across Asia bringing knowledge to the Chinese capital. Your position grants you first access to many treasures. Ancient scrolls from India detailing mathematical concepts, star charts from Persia, Buddhist sutras from kingdoms no longer existing on any map. Yet this pillow disturbs and fascinates you in equal measure. You have spent 3 days examining its inscriptions, copying some of the more accessible scripts, comparing them with texts in the imperial collection. Some match known writing systems, but contain character combinations never documented in existing literature. Others defy classification entirely. Tonight, after exhausting conventional methods of study, you have decided to test the pillow's purported function. If it truly grants dreams of forgotten languages, perhaps direct experience will reveal what scholarly analysis cannot. You have prepared meticulously. Ritual bathing, fasting since midday, meditation to clear your mind of preconceptions. The rain's arrival seems auspicious, creating a boundary of sound that separates this night from ordinary time. You lift the pillow carefully, feeling its substantial weight. Unlike most ceramic pieces that feel cool to the touch, this one radiates subtle warmth, as though the inscribed characters generate their own heat. Carrying it to your sleeping chamber, you place it precisely in the center of your sleeping mat. The single lamp you bring casts light across the surface, making the inscriptions seem to shift and move, some appearing more prominent than they did moments earlier, others receding into shadow. Your sleeping chamber maintains the scholarly simplicity that has characterized your life. Plain walls adorned only with a single landscape painting and a shelf holding select volumes you reference most frequently. Tonight, even these minimal distractions seem excessive. You focus entirely on the pillow as you complete your preparations for sleep. As you settle onto your sleeping mat, adjusting your robe of unadorned cotton, you position your head carefully on the ceramic surface. The initial discomfort, all such, pillows present, the hardness against your neck, the unyielding support so different from stuffed cloth alternatives, seems particularly pronounced with this specimen. The raised inscriptions press into your skin like tiny fingers seeking attention. You regulate your breathing as scholarly discipline has taught you. Slow, measured inhalations, followed by equally controlled exhalations. The sound of rain becomes your focus, its rhythmic pattering guiding you toward the threshold of sleep. Your last conscious thought forms a question directed toward the pillow itself. What wisdom do these forgotten alphabets contain? Darkness envelops you, but rather than the formless void of ordinary sleep, you perceive it as densely textured, like black fabric, woven with patterns you can feel rather than see. Gradually, these patterns begin emitting faint luminescence. Lines and curves appear before your dream vision, organizing themselves into recognizable forms. You are seeing writing systems emerging from darkness, not projected before you, but somehow arising from within your own consciousness. The first script to fully materialize resembles oracle bone inscriptions from the Shang dynasty, pictographic, characters carved on turtle shells and ox scapulae for divination rituals. Yet these are not the standardized forms preserved in imperial archives. They appear more fluid, less formalized, as though caught in the moment of their creation, when the connection between image and meaning remained transparent rather than conventional. As you observe, the characters begin to animate, transforming back into the objects and actions they originally represented. A character for mountain becomes an actual mountain rising before you. Rain transforms into falling water. Horse gallops across your vision. You understand suddenly that you're experiencing writing before it solidified into abstraction, when symbols and their reference maintained living connections. A voice speaks, not in your ears but directly in your mind. Before permanence, writing breathed. Characters were not fixed but responsive to the world they described. The voice has an ancient quality, like stone speaking through millennia, yet remains perfectly comprehensible. The scene shifts. Now different script appears, brush-written characters flowing across white space. You recognize the hand of Kai Lun, credited with refining paper-making processes centuries ago. The characters spell out manufacturing methods never recorded in surviving texts. Precise water temperatures, fiber preparation techniques, subtle additives that enhance durability. You realize you're accessing knowledge lost through time's attrition, preserved somehow within the pillow's mysterious repository. Again, the scene changes. Foreign alphabets appear, some familiar from manuscripts in the Imperial collection, others entirely unknown. Each reveals itself not merely as visual form but as complete sensory experience. A script from western deserts carries the scent of particular spices and the sound of unfamiliar instruments. A northern alphabet tastes of fermented mare's milk and feels like horsehair against skin. You understand that writing systems contain more than information. They embody entire cultural realities, sensory landscapes unique to their origins. The dream deepens. Now you encounter scripts that appear to be from no earthly culture, symbols arranged in patterns suggesting mathematics, beyond current understanding, or perhaps communications with non-human intelligences. One sequence particularly captures your attention. Spiraling characters that seem to reference astronomical cycles of extreme duration, mapping celestial movements across thousands of years. Some knowledge comes from beyond ordinary sources, the voice explains, received through meditation, induced trance, or communication with entities existing in realms adjacent to human perception. These alphabets record such transmissions. Throughout the night, your dream education continues. You learn that many writing systems developed independently contain structural similarities reflecting universal patterns in human cognition. You discover scripts deliberately created to be forgotten, encoded knowledge intended for preservation through periods of political suppression or cultural destruction. You witness writing systems that evolved not to record language, but to transcribe music, emotional states, or the movement of key energy through meridian systems. Most significantly, you begin to understand the pillow itself, its purpose and origin. Created by a secret society of scholar monks during the collapse of an earlier dynasty, it represents an attempt to preserve essential knowledge through periods of turmoil when physical texts faced destruction. The ceramic medium was chosen for its durability, the pillow form for its intimate contact with the dreaming mind. The society understood that knowledge encoded in objects that directly interface with human consciousness might survive when libraries burn and traditions are forcibly suppressed. You are not the first to dream these dreams, the voice tells you, nor will you be the last. The pillow selects its custodians across generations, those with capacity to receive and transmit its contents when conditions prove favorable. Your time has come to serve this function. As dawn approaches in the waking world, your dream culminates in a profound revelation. The myriad scripts covering the pillow's surface begin flowing together, merging into a unified meta-language that somehow contains all writing systems simultaneously. Through this composite script, you perceive reality's underlying patterns, how diverse cultures have mapped the same fundamental truths through different symbolic systems, each capturing aspects others miss. Complete understanding requires multiple perspectives, the voice concludes. No single writing system, no matter how sophisticated, can capture reality's entirety. Preservation of diversity in knowledge transmission ensures survival of wisdom through history's contingencies. You awaken with the first light filtering through your window paper. The rain has stopped, leaving behind a freshly washed world gleaming in morning sun. The ceramic pillow beneath your head no longer feels uncomfortable, but perfectly fitted to your neck, as though it has adjusted itself during the night. More remarkably, when you examine the pillow in daylight, the inscriptions appear changed. Scripts that were prominent the previous evening have receded, while others now stand out in bold relief. You understand immediately. The pillow reveals different aspects of its knowledge depending on the custodian's needs and readiness. The day passes in a strange melding of ordinary duties and extraordinary awareness. As Imperial Librarian, you oversee cataloguing projects, meet with scholars requesting access to restricted texts, and review recent acquisitions from tributary kingdoms. Yet beneath these routine activities runs a current of heightened perception. You notice subtle relationships between different textual traditions that previously escaped your attention. You find yourself able to identify manuscript origins with uncanny precision, recognizing scribal hands and regional variations that would normally require extensive comparison. Most disturbingly, when reviewing an ancient text generally considered authentic, you immediately recognize subtle inconsistencies, revealing it as a clever forgery created centuries after its purported origin. This text forms the basis for an entire school of political philosophy currently favored at court. Its fraudulence, if revealed, would have significant consequences for factions whose legitimacy depends on its authority. This discovery presents your first ethical dilemma as the pillow's custodian. The knowledge granted through dream connection carries responsibilities not covered in conventional scholarly training. Do you reveal the forgery, potentially destabilizing current power structures? Remain silent, allowing historical misunderstanding to persist? Create an encoded record of the truth for future generations while accepting present distortion? That night, you again sleep on the ceramic pillow, this time with specific questions about your responsibilities. The resulting dreams provide not direct answers, but illustrative parallels. Historical cases where knowledge was preserved, suppressed, or strategically revealed, with consequences unfolding across centuries. You awaken understanding that wisdom includes not just knowing, but knowing when and how knowledge should be shared. In the weeks that follow, you establish a pattern. Ordinary scholarly work during daylight hours, dream education through the pillow at night. You begin recording certain revelations in a personal codex, using a hybrid writing system that synthesizes multiple scripts encountered in your dreams. This document serves both as memory aid and as potential transmission vehicle, should direct dream connection become impossible. Your colleagues notice subtle changes in your behavior and scholarship. Some attribute your deepening insights to natural scholarly maturation. Others, particularly those with connections to esoteric Buddhist or Taoist practices, recognize signs of someone accessing knowledge through non-ordinary means. A few regard You with increasing suspicion, concerned about influences beyond orthodox traditions. 3 months after the pillow's arrival, political circumstances suddenly change. A conservative faction gains imperial favor, initiating what will later be recorded as a minor purge of foreign influences within scholarly institutions. Several colleagues with strong connections to Central Asian or Indian traditions find themselves reassigned to distant provincial posts. Rumors circulate about night raids on private libraries containing texts deemed problematic. Your dreams that period turn urgent, filled with historical parallels to current events, previous cycles of openness and restriction, patterns of knowledge, preservation through challenging transitions. The voice that has guided your dream education speaks with new directness. The pillow must be protected and moved. Its next custodian awaits in Suzhou. This instruction presents practical difficulties. As imperial librarian, your movements are noticed and recorded. Taking extended leave requires formal permission. Traveling with an unusual ceramic object invites attention in a period of heightened scrutiny. Yet the certainty instilled through dream knowledge leaves no doubt about necessary action. You arrange a scholarly pretext, a research journey to examine manuscript collections held in temples around Suzhou, officially to verify textual variations in key Confucian commentaries. Permission is granted with minimal questioning, as the conservative faction appreciates your apparent focus on orthodox Chinese traditions rather than foreign influences. Privately, you carefully wrap the pillow of forgotten alphabets in layers of silk and place it in an ordinary document chest along with genuinely important manuscripts. Your encoded personal records, too dangerous to transport during sensitive times, you conceal within the library itself, hidden in a secret compartment you discovered through dream guidance, where similar documents from previous periods of restriction have been preserved. The journey to Suzhou takes 12 days, following the Grand Canal southward through a landscape transitioning from northern plains to southern waterways. Throughout the journey, your dreams continue, now focused on preparing you for the transfer of custodianship. You learn recognition signals that will identify the intended recipient, transmission protocols developed by the original Creator Society, and decommissioning rituals to sever your deep connection to the pillow once transfer completes. In Suzhou, a city of gardens and canals often called Venice of the East, you follow dream-directed pathways to a modest scholar's residence near Tiger Hill. The occupant, an elderly woman known publicly as a specialist in astronomical calculations, but privately connected to multiple traditions of esoteric knowledge, recognizes you immediately, though you have never met in waking life. You bring something that has been speaking to me in dreams, she says without preamble, inviting you into a study lined with bamboo texts and astronomical instruments. I have prepared its place. The transfer ceremony occurs that night under specific stellar alignments. You unwrap the pillow, now thrumming with tangible energy in proximity to its new custodian. Together you perform the ritual movements and recitations learned in your respective dreams, yours releasing custodianship, hers accepting it. When your hands simultaneously touch the ceramic surface during the ceremony's culmination, you experience a momentary shared consciousness, accessing her dream experiences of the pillow as she accesses yours. This exchange reveals the broader pattern. The pillow of forgotten alphabets has moved through history along carefully plotted trajectories, each transfer occurring precisely when shifting circumstances require new protection, or when specific knowledge becomes relevant to current conditions. You glimpse previous custodians, monks, scholars, court ladies, merchants, village teachers, each selected not for social position, but for particular receptivity and capacity. The ceremony complete, you experience a profound sense of both loss and relief. The connection that has transformed your understanding is severed, yet the knowledge gained remains. You will no longer dream the extraordinary dreams of forgotten scripts, but their influence has permanently altered your perception of written knowledge and its transmission. What happens now? You ask the astronomer as dawn approaches. You return to Chang'an, carrying ordinary ceramic pillows purchased here as gifts. Establishing convenient explanation for your journey, she replies, with the precision of someone long accustomed to maintaining multiple realities simultaneously. You continue your work with new understanding but careful discretion. When conditions change again, as they inevitably will, you activate certain knowledge gained through dream teaching. The specific applications will become clear when necessary. She pauses, then adds, "The pillow's wisdom remains accessible even without direct contact. In moments of deep scholarly concentration, particularly when working with texts involving multiple traditions, you may experience brief reconnections, insights flowing from the collective repository you've helped sustain." Your return journey proceeds without incident. Back in Chang'an, you resume your duties with outward conformity to current orthodoxies, while maintaining inward connection to broader perspectives. Your scholarship becomes increasingly subtle, appearing to reinforce established traditions while actually preserving diverse knowledge within conventional forms. Over decades of service, you develop a reputation for exceptional skill in textual preservation. Your cataloging systems, archival methods, and conservation techniques become standards adopted throughout imperial collections. What remains unrecognized is how these systems incorporate principles from multiple cultural traditions, encoded in ways that ensure knowledge diversity survives even when surface uniformity seems imposed. The conservative movement that prompted the pillow's relocation eventually moderates, as such movements typically do. A new period of cultural exchange emerges, though never quite matching the cosmopolitan openness of earlier decades. Throughout these transitions, you maintain correspondence with the Suzhou astronomer through letters that appear to discuss seasonal observations but actually track the pillow's continuing journey. In your 67th year, while revising the Imperial Library's classification system, you experience a sudden vivid flash, not quite dream but deeper than ordinary recollection. You perceive the Pillow of Forgotten Alphabets now located in a cliffside monastery near Dunhuang. Its surface inscriptions subtly changed to include writing systems that didn't exist when you were its custodian. The repository continues to grow, incorporating new knowledge even as it preserves the ancient. This vision brings peaceful completion to your life's work. You have served as one link in an unbroken chain extending backward through dynasties and forward into unknowable futures. The particulars of your contribution, specific texts preserved, cataloging systems designed, scholars quietly mentored, matter less than your participation in knowledge's continuing journey through time's contingencies. When you finally pass from life 5 years later, your official biography records conventional accomplishments, texts edited, imperial commendations received, students who achieved significant positions. What remains unrecorded is your role in maintaining diversity of thought during a period threatening its reduction, your contribution to a millennia-spanning project preserving written wisdom through dream connection and ceramic technology. The Pillow of Forgotten Alphabets continues its journey through Chinese history and beyond. During the Mongol invasions, it travels westward along Silk Road pathways, eventually reaching Islamic centers of learning where its dream teaching helps. Scholars integrate Chinese knowledge into their own intellectual traditions. Later, it returns eastward, moving through private collections and hidden monasteries, always protected by custodians selected through dream recognition. During particularly dangerous periods, the burning of books in the Qin dynasty, the cultural revolution in the 20th century, the pillow sometimes disappears completely, buried in remote locations or disguised as ordinary ceramic ware. During these dormant phases, its knowledge remains accessible only through dreams of previous custodians, fragments of memory preserved in human consciousness when physical repositories face destruction. In the contemporary world, the pillow resides in an unlikely location, the private collection of a technology entrepreneur who purchased it through legitimate channels, believing it merely an interesting example of Tang Dynasty ceramic craft. Unknown to him, his frequent international travel perfectly serves the pillow's continued movement, exposing it to diverse cultural environments that refresh and expand its repository. The entrepreneur experiences unusually vivid dreams when sleeping, in the room where the pillow is displayed, but attributes this to stress or creative thinking. Occasionally, these dreams influence his technology development in subtle ways, inspiring interfaces that unconsciously incorporate principles from ancient writing systems or preservation methods derived from forgotten manuscript traditions. Meanwhile, the pillow continues selecting potential new custodians, reaching them through dreams that initially seem like interesting historical fantasies, but gradually reveal deeper patterns. Some recipients recognize the dream's significance and begin researching ceramic pillows, creating scholarly paths that may eventually connect them with the physical object. Others simply integrate the dream wisdom into their work, developing more sophisticated textual algorithms, creating more resilient digital storage systems, or designing more intuitive writing technologies. Across nearly 12 centuries since you first experienced its dream teaching, the pillow of forgotten alphabets continues its essential function, preserving written knowledge through changing circumstances, connecting human minds across temporal barriers, ensuring that what has been discovered need never be permanently lost. The scripts covering its surface have multiplied, now including binary code alongside oracle bone inscriptions, cuneiform beside quantum storage patterns. In rare moments when time's linear progression temporarily relaxes, your consciousness, preserved within the pillow's repository alongside all its custodians, might briefly reconnect with present awareness. In these moments, you perceive how your seemingly small contributions to knowledge preservation continue influencing a world you could never have imagined. How wisdom transmitted through ceramic and dream has withstood history's most destructive episodes. These moments bring perfect contentment, the satisfaction of participation in something far larger than individual accomplishment, a project spanning civilizations and transcending cultural boundaries. Through the humble technology of a ceramic pillow and the natural phenomenon of human dreaming, knowledge that might otherwise have vanished continues its journey through time, connecting minds across centuries in recognition of writing's most profound purpose, not merely recording information, but sustaining wisdom's continuous presence in human awareness. The hours grow deeper still as the night cradles another ancient secret. Let your breathing slow as we journey once more through the mists of time to discover how the simplest objects can hold the most profound mysteries. The lanterns have been extinguished in the palace of eternal harmony, leaving only moonlight, filtering through latticed windows to illuminate your chamber. The silence enveloping the forbidden city at this late hour feels almost tangible, a protective cloak wrapped around secrets and sorrows alike. Beyond your walls lie countless courtyards, pavilions and halls, interconnected waterways and gardens, all designed to create the perfect microcosm of imperial order. Yet even in this most controlled environment on Earth, dreams remain ungovernable. You sit at your dressing table, a low lacquered piece inlaid with mother-of-pearl scenes of immortals, floating among clouds. The bronze mirror before you reflects a young woman of 23, striking rather than conventionally beautiful, with clear eyes that palace elders often comment hold too much intelligence for someone of your station. Your formal court makeup has been removed, your elaborate hairstyle undone by careful hands of attendants now dismissed for the night. In the mirror, you appear almost ordinary, though nothing about life within these vermilion walls could ever truly be called ordinary. Your hands rest on a small silk bundle, unwrapping it with deliberate gentleness to reveal your most treasured possession, a pillow unlike any other in the imperial collection. Where other palace concubines rest their heads on porcelain, jade, or lacquered wood, you sleep upon embroidered silk stuffed with carefully selected aromatic herbs. The pillow's surface depicts a garden scene of breathtaking detail, mountains rising beyond a flowering landscape where tiny figures engage in various leisurely pursuits. Scholars converse beneath pine trees, children play beside a stream, musicians perform on a pavilion terrace. This remarkable piece was not a gift from Emperor Jiajing, your distracted and often cruel master, nor was it officially commissioned by any palace authority. It arrived 5 years ago, when you first entered the Forbidden City as a frightened 18-year-old tribute from your family in Suzhou. Among your permitted belongings was this pillow, ostensibly made by your grandmother's hands as a comfort from home. Palace officials inspected it thoroughly, finding nothing suspicious in its construction or materials. They could not detect what makes it truly extraordinary, a quality discoverable only through use. The embroidered garden holds a secret. When you sleep upon this pillow, you enter the landscape depicted on its surface, not merely in imagination or standard dreams, but in a manner so vivid and consistent that it constitutes a second life. Night after night, for 5 years, you have walked those silken paths, conversed with inhabitants who know you by name, observed seasonal changes in flora that correspond to no palace calendar. Within the embroidered world, you possess freedom, unknown in waking life, to speak without constraint, to learn forbidden knowledge, to love without imperial permission. You lift the pillow to your face, inhaling its complex fragrance. Wormwood for protection, lavender for calm, osmanthus for spiritual connection. Other herbs whose names and properties were taught to you only in dream time. The embroidery threads glisten subtly in the moonlight, some stitches appearing to shift slightly under your gaze. This movement once frightened you. Now it signals welcome transition between worlds. Carrying the pillow to your sleeping platform, you arrange your bedding with precise care. Your chamber, though luxurious by ordinary standards, reflects your relatively low position in the imperial hierarchy. As fifth concubine of the 4th rank, you occupy a modest space in the Palace of Eternal Harmony, neither close enough to the Emperor's quarters to suggest favor, nor distant enough to indicate complete disregard. Your furnishings, rosewood cabinets, silk hangings in imperial yellow and blue, porcelain vases refreshed weekly with seasonal flowers, all conform to regulations appropriate for your station. The pillow is your only true possession, the only object in this meticulously controlled environment that contains genuine mystery. You settle onto the sleeping platform, arranging your night robe of simple white silk. Following familiar ritual, you position the embroidered pillow precisely, aligning its landscape orientations with actual directions, the depicted mountains facing west, the stream flowing southward. This correspondence between silk geography and physical reality was among the first instructions you received in dream teaching. Laying your head upon the embroidered surface, you close your eyes and regulate your breathing, as taught both by Pallas, physicians for proper health, and by dream mentors for effective transition. Your body gradually relaxes while your mind maintains gentle focus on the garden scene last witnessed. The herbs within the pillow release subtle aromatics activated by your body's warmth and moisture, compounds that scientific ages would later identify as containing mild psychoactive properties that enhance dream vividness and recall. Transition begins with sound. Distant flute notes playing a melody never heard within palace walls, accompanied by gentle water movements over smooth stones. Next comes sensation, the pillow's surface seeming to soften and expand beneath you, no longer fabric, but becoming the actual earth of the garden itself. Finally, light appears behind closed eyelids, sunshine filtering through bamboo leaves, casting dappled patterns that resolve into the familiar landscape as you open your dream eyes to your second life. You stand on a stone pathway near the central pavilion of the garden. Spring flowers bloom in carefully arranged beds, peonies unfurling massive heads in shades impossible to achieve with actual silk dyes, magnolias releasing fragrance that corresponds to no physical world equivalent. Scholars' rocks create contemplative vantage points, their surface textures so minutely realized you can discern crystalline structures within the stone when viewed closely. A breeze carries the sound of distant conversation and laughter, the garden's inhabitants engaged in their perpetual activities. Moving along the pathway, you encounter the first of your dream teachers, an elderly woman arranging flowers in a pavilion overlooking the stream. Her hands move with practiced precision, creating arrangements that follow no conventional palace style, but instead express philosophical principles through botanical relationships. She looks up as you approach, her face crinkling with genuine pleasure. "The student returns," she says, her voice carrying the particular resonance that distinguishes long-term garden inhabitants from more recent arrivals. "You bring concerns from the waking world tonight. I see them trailing behind you like ink in water." You bow respectfully before taking a seat on the stone bench beside her work table. In 5 years of dream visits, this woman, who calls herself simply Teacher Liu, has instructed you in botanical knowledge that extends far beyond aesthetic arrangements. You have learned how certain plant combinations affect human consciousness, how growing patterns reflect cosmic principles, how cultivation techniques encode philosophical teachings too dangerous for written transmission. "Court politics grow more dangerous," you tell her, watching as her fingers position a branch of winter plum among stalks of bamboo. Strength amid flexibility, an arrangement speaking to survival strategies. The emperor increasingly follows Taoist ritualists who promise immortality elixirs. 3 palace women died last month after being selected to test new formulations. "I fear my turn approaches." Teacher Liu continues her arrangement in silence for several moments. Finally, she selects a small yellow chrysanthemum, positioning it carefully among the stronger elements. Protection often comes from appearing insignificant, while possessing inner resilience, she says. These matters have historical precedent. During the Tang dynasty, similar obsessions nearly destroyed the imperial line until a clever concubine intervened. She sets her arrangement tools aside, fixing you with a direct gaze uncommon in palace discourse, where indirect communication prevails. Tonight you should visit the library pavilion. Master Wang has recovered scrolls documenting these events and strategies employed by those who survived. But first, continue along the stream path. Someone awaits who brings different wisdom. You thank her and rise, recognizing the characteristic pattern of garden education. Each night unfolds as a journey through landscapes both physical and intellectual, encounters building upon one another toward understanding that could never be directly stated. The garden teaches through experience, relationship, and carefully orchestrated coincidences that only gradually reveal their orchestrated nature. Following the stream path as directed, you observe subtle changes since your last visit. New plants have appeared along the banks, species you recognize from medical texts as having protective properties against toxins. The water itself flows with slightly altered patterns, forming eddies that approximate the shape of specific protective characters. Even the garden's birds seem selected to convey meaning. Kingfishers watching from overhanging branches represent vigilance amid apparent relaxation. Around a bend in the path, you discover a simple tea pavilion not present in previous visits. An elderly man in scholar's robes sits at a stone table, 2 cups already arranged for tea service. Without looking up, he gestures for you to join him. You recognize Master Chen, who has taught you calligraphy within the Dream Garden, not merely brushwork techniques, but the hidden meanings encoded in character compositions, the subtle subversions possible through minor variations in standard forms. Writing preserves what memory cannot, he says as you take your seat, his hands performing the elaborate ritual of tea preparation. But certain knowledge remains unsafe for brush and paper. This is why we teach through gardens, through embroidery, through arrangements that appear decorative while containing precise information. He pours tea into your cup, a clear amber liquid unlike any palace beverage. Dream tea, you've learned, affects consciousness differently than waking world consumption. Each blend creates specific mental states or enhances particular cognitive functions. This variety brings heightened recall, allowing access to memories usually submerged beneath conscious awareness. Drink, Master Chen instructs. And remember what you have previously learned about mineral compounds and their effects on the human body, particularly those lessons concerning cinnabar, mercury, and lead, elements currently favored in the Emperor's immortality pursuits. As you sip the tea, memories surface with extraordinary clarity. Previous dream lessons about symptoms of metal poisoning, treatments to mitigate toxic effects, methods to create apparent compliance while avoiding actual consumption. You recall specific herbs that change color in the presence of dangerous substances, techniques for appearing to consume preparations while actually disposing of them, historical accounts of concubines who survived similar periods through strategic illness that rendered them temporarily unsuitable for imperial attention. Master Chen watches your changing expressions with approval. The knowledge returns, he observes. Now she must integrate these remembrances with current circumstances. You realize he speaks not to you, but to someone standing behind you. Turning, you discover another garden inhabitant, the young woman who first explained the garden's nature 5 years earlier. Dressed simply in blue robes that match the embroidered color on your physical pillow, she carries a wooden box inlaid with mother-of-pearl designs matching your waking world dressing table. It is time for the second transmission, she announces, placing the box on the table. Events accelerate in the outer world. Preparation can no longer proceed at ordinary pace. Master Chen rises, bowing slightly before departing without further comment. The young woman, who has never offered a name beyond the connector, takes his place, opening the wooden box to reveal an embroidery project in progress. You recognize the scene immediately, the Forbidden City's imperial garden, rendered with the same extraordinary detail as the garden depicted on your pillow. Your grandmother did not create your dream pillow, the connector states, confirming suspicions you've held for years. It was made by a society of women who preserve knowledge, through textile arts when other means become dangerous. For 17 generations, they have placed such pillows in strategic locations, creating network connections between physical and embroidered worlds. She lifts the needlework from its box, handing it to you, along with a small ivory thimble. Now you begin your transition from recipient to creator. This piece must be completed within 30 night visits. Through its making, you will learn the final techniques of encoding and activation. You examine the embroidery with new understanding. What appeared decorative now reveals itself as functional. Specific stitch patterns creating energy channels, color combinations establishing vibrational frequencies, spatial relationships between elements forming mathematical ratios with consciousness affecting properties. The garden on your pillow is not merely a scene, but a technology, a machine made of silk and intention. Who will receive this new creation? You ask, already suspecting the answer. The 8th princess requires protection, the connector replies. Like you, she faces dangers unique to women of imperial connection who possess too much intelligence for palace comfort. Unlike you, she holds position that cannot be easily eliminated. A dreaming connection between your minds would benefit both and preserve essential knowledge through coming transitions. The implications manifest immediately. The 8th princess, the emperor's favorite daughter from a high-ranking consort, has shown interest in your calligraphy during palace gatherings. Though separated by vast status differences, you've sensed a potential alliance. Creating a dream. Connection would establish communication channels beyond imperial monitoring, allowing protected exchange of information critical to survival. I accept this responsibility, you reply, feeling the weight of joining a tradition extending back centuries. But I require guidance in both technical execution and safe delivery once completed. The connector nods, satisfied with your response. Technical instruction begins tonight in the library pavilion, as Teacher Liu indicated. Practical matters of transmission will be addressed as completion approaches. She pauses, studying you with unusual intensity. Understand that in accepting this work, you join a lineage older than the Ming dynasty itself. Women have always created alternative communication systems when excluded from official channels. Embroidery is merely one method among many. She returns the incomplete embroidery to its box, closing it with ceremonial precision. Carry this to the library pavilion. Tonight you learn the history of our approaches. Subsequent nights will teach technical execution. We have less time than originally planned. Events in the waking world accelerate toward crisis. You accept the box, tucking it carefully into your sleeve pocket, as would be natural in the waking world, though such physical constraints don't necessarily apply in dream space. The connector rises, gesturing toward a path leading away from the stream, toward higher ground where the library pavilion sits among ancient pines. One final instruction, she adds, as you stand to leave. Beginning tomorrow night, you must examine your physical pillow each evening before sleep. Messages will appear in the embroidery. Subtle changes visible only to trained perception. These will contain warnings and instructions too dangerous for garden transmission. This revelation startles you. The physical embroidery can change. The barrier between worlds is more permeable than most understand, she replies with the first smile you've ever seen cross her serious features. Skilled practitioners can affect physical objects through dream intention. This is merely one application of principles you will learn through your training. The path to the library pavilion winds upward through carefully maintained groves where ancient texts grow like fruits from special trees. A garden conceit you discovered during your second year of dream visits. These knowledge trees produce scrolls and books according to season and visitor need, their cultivation representing one of the garden's most closely guarded secrets. Master Wang awaits on the pavilion steps, his long beard and simple grey robes identifying him as the garden's historian. Unlike other teachers encountered regularly through your dream education, Master Wang appears rarely, usually signaling transitions between major phases of learning. The embroidery lineage extends back to the late Tang dynasty. He begins without preamble as you climb the steps, originating during the Wuchang persecution when imperial edicts attempted to eliminate Buddhist influences from Chinese culture. While monasteries were destroyed and texts burned, court women preserved teachings by encoding them in textile patterns. Inside the pavilion, an enormous scroll has been unrolled across multiple tables, displaying a continuous timeline of Chinese dynasties annotated with small embroidery samples and female names largely absent from official histories. You set the wooden box beside this display and follow Master Wang as he guides you through centuries of textile communication technology. Each major persecution and transitional period required adaptation of techniques, he explains, pointing to clusters of samples from the Songyuan transition, the early Ming establishment, periods of intense factional conflict. What appears decorative contains layers of coded information, geographic coordinates, chemical formulas, lineage transmissions, warnings of coming danger. He indicates a particularly intricate piece from the early Ming period. When the Yongle emperor executed thousands during his power consolidation, palace women warned each other through dream-connected embroideries similar to yours. Those who recognized the warnings survived to preserve essential knowledge through the purge. For hours, measured in dream time rather than waking world progression, Master Wang educates you in this alternative history. Women's networks operating beneath official narratives, transmitting practical knowledge and protection strategies through textile technologies disguised as decorative domestic arts. You learn recognition patterns that identify authentic lineage pieces, activation techniques for different embroidery types, methods to encode specific information categories through color, stitch variation, and spatial relationship. As dawn approaches, in the waking world, signaling imminent transition back to physical reality, Master Wang leads you to a final display. Embroidered portraits of key lineage women through history. With shock, you recognize faces occasionally glimpsed in previous dream encounters. Garden inhabitants you'd assumed were merely symbolic figures. They maintain presence here, he confirms. Consciousness preserved through textile technology and dream connection. Someday, should circumstances require, you may join them, continuing education work from within the garden, rather than returning to physical embodiment. Before you can question this extraordinary implication, the familiar sensations of dream transition begin. The garden scene growing indistinct, physical awareness of your actual body returning, the sounds of early morning palace life penetrating your consciousness. The final image before complete transition is Master Wang carefully returning the wooden box to your hands, his expression communicating urgency without disturbing the garden's perpetual serenity. You awaken in your chamber, dawn light filtering through latticed windows. Your first conscious action is to examine the embroidered pillow beside you. With perception altered by night education, you immediately notice subtle changes impossible to detect previously. Particular flowers have shifted positions slightly. Tiny human figures have changed activities. Cloud patterns have rearranged to suggest specific directional movement. The message, encoded in visual relationships rather than explicit symbols, warns of imminent selection for imperial attention. 3 days hence, according to pattern shifts among garden pavilions, You will be summoned to provide evening entertainment for the Emperor, a dangerous honor given his current preoccupation with immortality elixirs often tested on concubines before personal consumption. Rising from your sleeping platform with outward calm masking inner alertness, you prepare to navigate the dangerous complexities of palace life with new resources and responsibilities. Your embroidered dream education has transformed from personal solace to survival technology. Beyond immediate danger, you now carry the additional obligation of creating another dream pillow, extending the lineage network to include the eighth princess and preserve knowledge through whatever political upheavals approach. As palace attendants arrive to assist your morning preparations, you slip the embroidered pillow into its hiding place within a specially modified storage chest. To their eyes, you remain fifth concubine of the fourth rank, a minor player in palace hierarchies, notable primarily for calligraphy skills occasionally commissioned for less important imperial correspondence. They cannot perceive the alternate identity established through 5 years of dream education, the growing connection to a centuries-old women's network operating beneath official structures. The predicted imperial summons arrives precisely 3 days later. That evening, you perform calligraphy demonstrations for Emperor Jiajing and selected courtiers, creating characters with technical perfection while concealing your extensive knowledge of their esoteric dimensions. Throughout the performance, you maintain careful awareness of every cup, every food item presented, employing detection techniques learned in the garden to identify suspicious substances. When offered special tea prepared by the Emperor's Taoist advisors, a longevity blend containing metallic compounds, you employ a misdirection strategy rehearsed through dream preparation, a carefully timed sleeve movement, a seeming moment of artistic inspiration requiring sudden movement, results in the cup's contents largely absorbed by layered undergarments rather than consumed. What little reaches your lips is neutralized by protective herbs consumed before the imperial audience. The Emperor, distracted by multiple court performances and increasingly erratic from consuming his own concoctions, notices nothing unusual. You return to your quarters that night, outwardly unchanged, but inwardly confirmed in the dream pillow's predictive accuracy. This validation strengthens your commitment to completing the embroidery project for the eighth princess. Over subsequent weeks, your nights divide between dream education in technical embroidery methods and actual creation work conducted during private afternoon hours. The emerging design, ostensibly a decorative rendering of the imperial garden, suitable as a gift for a princess, contains encoded information about palace power structures, poison identification techniques, and activation sequences for dream connection. Your dream teachers become increasingly focused on technical precision, exact stitch counts for specific effects, thread tension requirements for proper energy conductivity, proportional relationships that establish vibrational resonances between embroidered elements. You learn that the garden depicted is not simply representation, but functional technology, a machine made of thread and intention, capable of generating an independent dream space when activated by appropriate consciousness. As the embroidery nears completion, practical concerns of transmission become paramount. Direct gifting between someone of your rank and an imperial princess would violate court protocols and attract dangerous attention. The solution emerges through dream guidance. The eighth princess has expressed interest in improving her calligraphy. You will be assigned as her instructor, creating legitimate access for presenting the completed pillow as a resting aid for study sessions. This plan requires external orchestration beyond your influence. Remarkably, within days of this dream, Guidance, the chief eunuch responsible for educational arrangements, approaches you with precisely this assignment. The apparent coincidence, you now understand, likely reflects other network members operating in different palace positions. The women's communication system extending beyond dream connections into practical court manipulations. The final night, before completing the embroidery, brings your most significant dream encounter yet. Rather than familiar teachers, you meet the garden's primary creator, a woman from the late Tang dynasty who established the original dream textile technology. She appears as a simple weaver seated beneath a flowering plum tree, her hands continuously working a small loom that seems to produce patterns directly corresponding to dream modifications in the physical world. What we create is living communication architecture, she explains, her ancient dialect somehow perfectly comprehensible in dream space. Not merely messages, but consciousness vessels capable of independent function. Your embroidered gardens are not representations of places, but actual locations existing in the liminal space between material and immaterial reality. She gestures toward her loom, where threads spontaneously rearrange into new patterns. All textile work potentially accesses this dimension. Women's hands creating fabric structures naturally generate energy patterns that bridge worlds. What our lineage discovered was not new creation, but conscious application of inherent properties in the act of textile making. Her explanation continues, revealing philosophical underpinnings of embroidered dream technology that transcend practical applications. The work you've understood as survival strategy and knowledge preservation expands into profound cosmological dimensions. Textile creation as fundamental world building, pattern making as reality programming, women's domestic arts as sophisticated technologies operating beneath patriarchal awareness. Complete your project with this understanding, the ancient weaver concludes. You are not merely making an object, but establishing a location where consciousness can develop outside imperial control. The network expands with each new connection, creating alternative geographies beyond physical restriction. You complete the embroidery the following afternoon, adding final activating stitches with techniques learned through dream instruction. The finished piece appears to ordinary observation as merely decorative, the imperial garden rendered with exceptional skill, but otherwise unremarkable. Only viewers with specific training would recognize encoded elements or activation sequences embedded within decorative patterns. Your first instructional session with the 8th princess occurs 3 days later. The young royal, just 16 but already displaying intellectual sophistication beyond her years, receives you in her private study pavilion. After formal calligraphy practice exploring character variations, you present the embroidered pillow as casual gift, a resting aid for study sessions that depicts familiar surroundings. Proper rest position improves brush control, you explain, demonstrating how the pillow supports neck alignment. The princess accepts graciously, admiring the craftsmanship without any indication of recognizing deeper purpose. Whether she is being prepared through other network connections remains unclear. Dream protocol dictates that explicit acknowledgement occurs only in dream space, never in physical world interaction. That night, you place your original dream pillow in precise alignment, focusing intention on connecting with a newly activated creation. Your transition into dream space occurs with unusual intensity, colors more vivid, sensations more distinct, awareness heightened beyond previous experiences. You find yourself in a garden that simultaneously is and is not the familiar landscape of your regular dream visits. The connector awaits on the central bridge spanning the stream. Beside her stands a young woman in imperial robes, the 8th princess, experiencing her first dream garden visit. Her expression combines wonder and recognition, suggesting some level of preparation through other network means. The connection succeeds. The connector states simply, "Two gardens now function as one when required, separate when necessary." The network expands according to pattern. The princess turns to you, her dream self displaying directness impossible in waking world interactions. "I've received messages through my mother's embroideries since childhood," she reveals, "but never experienced full dream manifestation until now. The network identified you as key connection. 3 years ago, when your calligraphy first displayed evidence of garden education." This confirmation of larger coordination beyond your awareness aligns with recent dream revelations about network extent. The princess's involvement suggests strategic positioning across multiple court factions, a distribution ensuring knowledge preservation, regardless which power configuration prevails in coming transitions. Political currents shift toward crisis, the princess continues. "My father's health deteriorates despite, or because of, Taoist treatments. Succession factions position for advantage. The women's network prepares alternative knowledge transmission paths should traditional channels collapse during transition. The connector gestures toward the library pavilion visible on distant hillside. Your combined education begins tonight. Historical precedents, protection strategies, coordination protocols between physical and dream activities. The network requires both positions functioning in harmony. As you accompany the princess toward the pavilion, you realize your role has transformed fundamentally. From an isolated dream student seeking personal knowledge, you have become active node in an ancient system, part of living textile technology extending through centuries of Chinese history. Your embroidered pillow represents not merely personal escape, but functional communication architecture connecting minds across seemingly impermeable barriers of court hierarchy. Over subsequent months, coordinated physical and dream world activities establish robust connection between you and the princess. In waking life, regular calligraphy lessons provide cover for brief encoded communications and necessary material exchanges. In dream space, shared education prepares both for approaching political turbulence while extending your understanding of the women's network operating throughout Chinese history. The predicted crisis arrives within a year. Emperor Jia Jing, increasingly debilitate,